How you doing today?
Pretty good. Yeah, eventful Friday after work, and then it's been chilling.
Same. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be having a friendly debate about Wale and J. Cole. Uh, quick disclaimer before we start: we are both fans of both artists. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Right now, but we just wanted to have a real conversation. We were kind of talking about this on Friday. Um, just one of the many topics that we discussed, and it was like let's talk about this on stream. So I'm gonna be taking the case for Wale, and Chris will be taking the case for J. Cole. So we have, we're gonna be we're gonna be fleshing it all out. So it's no, I don't have any smoke with J. Cole. I respect him as an artist, as a musician. Nothing I say is personal against him and his artistry. I think he is one of the greatest for sure. So this is no attack on here. We're talking. A lot of this conversation is more geared towards just cultural depictions of these artists, why one may be viewed as better than the other, and nuances around that conversation. So it kind of more stems from the big three analogy. Some people do feel that the three is Kendrick, Drake, and J. Cole. Um, and I have, honestly, I don't have any issue with that being the big three. My question is more how we got to that decision. Um, this kind of started from there was a video. What's the guy's name? I think it's Read My Soul had made about who is better between, or he was claiming that Wale was better than J. Cole, and he had a lot of clips from Rory and Maul, kind of helping substantiate his claims. Um, and I'm in agreement with a lot of what he says. I do understand personally. I do understand why J. Cole is revered more than Wale. So it's not necessarily we're not debating to say, oh, this should be it, or this is more of a personal feelings type of thing. So I'll be able to air out a lot of my J. Cole grievances, and what I mean, we'll just be able to we'll just kind of go from there. So real quick, Chris, did you get to finish watching that video?
Um, I didn't.
Okay,
No, I didn't. Yeah,
no problem. No problem. How far in the video did you get? Do you remember?
I got like a few minutes in, and then I was starting to look at the comments and
Mm-hmm.
kind of see some of the conversation with that. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I know he kind of touched on with the whole Big Three thing. Kind of touched on maybe Tyler, the creator, is part of like the new generation Big Three, but
Right.
with J Cole and Wale. Yeah, I gotta finish it. Unless you have like a clip we can pull up, you know.
I don't have any necessarily clips, but let's actually just start with the comments. So from the comments that you read, what was your, or how do you feel like the comment section felt about it, and which way were you kind of leaning in terms of comments towards it?
I saw pretty mixed reviews as far as the direction. Some people sway with J. Cole, obviously, and some people sway with Wale. I think that's just a testament to one how closely related the fan bases are for both of them because of how the time frame that they came up at
Mm-hmm.
around the same time as we talk about um, with what Big Sean, Drake, Kendrick, J. Cole, Wale, like they were around the same time as far as like the same class of I guess our generation's hip hop artists. But yeah, I've seen when it came to J. Cole, they just mentioned, okay, well, some people said he relates more to a wider audience. Some people said Wale is more artistic than him and more like speaks to your soul. But I don't know. I kind of sway towards I mean, I do like both artists, but I personally sway towards more so towards J. Cole because of his narrative. Even though he throughout his projects is talking about different themes or things or stages in his life and his career,
Mm-hmm.
it still all lines up because of the theme being him on his grind from start to finish or from start to now. And sometimes he relates that to basketball, uh, because he wanted to. I mean, he used to play basketball and want to be professional at some point, but took the rap career route. So I don't know. I feel like J. Cole to me is more dedicated to the artist, not artistry. I'll say because they're both dedicated to artistry. I say J. Cole is more dedicated to the greatness of hip hop, or like he wants to be in that conversation. And I don't necessarily haven't really gotten that from Wale.
Mm-hmm.
Um, really for like the past few years to a decade, to be honest. Like I know some of his earlier work I related to that. I saw like he wanted to be at a certain level and this and that, but then not to say it's a bad thing. At a certain point, I just saw a shift in his um, art and music, and that he just more so focused on just the art. Whoever likes it. Whoever don't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like yeah, that's how I feel about Wale and J Cole.
Okay. So I think in order for us to have this conversation in its totality, we have to walk people through our introduction into hip hop. I think so. I'll kind of start first. Um, like I'm talking about really my. This is just gonna be like an introduction to music in general for me. And just cause I was born in '94, we got to think about the way music has changed from how we consume it, so
Yeah,
I guess back in the day I don't think I was really listening to my own music, so I'm growing up really just on radio music. My parents are a little bit older, so I was mainly listening to music on the radio. We had music playing throughout the house. Nothing I too much remember, but when I liked the song, you could only hear it when you was in the car. There was really no place for on demand music. You was just kind of
yeah.
hearing things when you could. So you'd be on the radio, they playing the same five songs, and this
Mm.
is from New York, so you're hearing mainly New York centered music. Um, I think when I was in maybe like fifth or sixth grade, like you could start getting internet access to like within your home. So I feel like that might have been the first time I had like internet. I remember the first CD I got was a Backstreet Boys CD from Burger King. So it wasn't even like anything I bought. It was either Backstreet Boys or NSYNC, something like that.
Okay.
So that was like my first idea of having my own personal CD, even though I didn't even have a way to listen to it.
Mm.
Um, I remember at a certain point, and this is like I'm thinking this around 2000. So I think like 50 Cent is just now starting to come out because I remember that's kind of the first person who I was like really listening to, like tapped into. I'm trying to think, but I remember like when I first kind of got a taste of what streaming was with AOL Music. AIM, did you use AIM instant
Okay.
messaging?
I remember
Yeah,
that.
so they had like a little music page, so that was my first introduction to, um, kind of music on demand. Like you would hear a song and you could kind of look it up. So that would
Mm.
be like I hear a song on the radio and then I would try and go home and look it up, listen to it like that. A couple of years later, then LimeWire came out. Nah, man, I'm trying to download music and just find music that I like. So I think that's probably closer to I want to say 2004. So still very limited on the music I'm listening to. Like I do enjoy it, but I still don't have my own personal music that I'm listening to. And it's not. I think at that point we might MP3s might have been introduced at this point, but they might have been kind of more on the expensive side, so like kids wasn't having MP3s. So, but I do remember I got my first iPod when I was moving down. It was like a going away present from some of my friends in the neighborhood.
Nice.
Shout out to Nico and his mom. Shout out to them forever for that.
Right.
But yeah, they gave me and my sister some iPods, and yeah, like I remember I only had like 12, like, cause each song cost $1,
Uh-huh.
so I really only had like 12 songs at the beginning, and I remember it was a lot of Ti. I want to say maybe like, I know Rubber Band. Damn, it was like the Young Dro song, Rubber Band something, like Rubber Band Bangs, Boy Young. That was one of the songs I was on there. But it was just like a very small, like maybe an album's worth of music each single. So, because I was thinking about this last night. I was using Chat GPT to kind of, I was just going over like my introduction into music and kind of remembering um, how I started listening to music and what
Yeah.
different platforms were important to, me just listening to music and consuming it in a certain way.
Mhm.
So so at the beginning I didn't know how to get music onto my iPod that you didn't buy through iTunes at that point. So
Okay.
I was really just kind of stuck with the music I purchased. Then cuz I know I'm using LimeWire at this time, but I don't think I have a place to put it. And then maybe phones at this point started being able to, like, you put music onto the phones.
Oh
But
yeah, at least like the ringtones. Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah, like ringtones, right? Yeah. So I'm trying to think. I think this around 2005. So at this point though, I really don't have a favorite artist, rapper, anything like that. Um, and I'm just kind of listening to whatever comes out. At this point, I'd heard of YouTube, but I wasn't really on it like that. And then some people would be talking about different music that they listening to. So I think this probably around Carter too. So people was talking about Fireman by Lil Wayne. And I'm just like, I don't even know where they're hearing that at or where they listening to that at. Um, and I'm pretty sure I'm in middle school at this time. Was I even riding the bus at this point? Nah, I mean, I really just probably still have my iPod. I might have a couple of more songs on there at this point, but still nothing crazy.
Okay.
Um, But freshman year in high school was when I really remember. I was like 2008, 2000. Yeah, probably like 2007 going into 2008 when I
Mhm.
started high school. I feel like somewhere around that time. And I think at that point, I was trying to get music onto my phone so I could listen to on the bus. Or I actually had the thing was I used to have to walk to the bus stop, and it was like maybe like a half a mile walk within my neighborhood, but it was still just a walk. So sometimes I want to listen to music on there. Um, but then I'm just like, I remember when hot new hip hop started coming out, you could download music directly from there. So that was when singles were kind of big. So you
Yeah.
would download a single, and then you could kind of have it on your phone or have it on your computer, whatever. And that used to be a cool thing to do, just have a couple of songs in your pocket. And then mixtapes started coming out, and you could download a whole mixtape, and it was just like, I remember that was kind of the beginning of me creating my own the music that I like to listen to. So, but
Yeah.
you had to make decisions though, because your phone wasn't. It's not like today where you had access to anything. So it's like you had to just pick and choose, kind of like, pick your favorite song from this project, pick your favorite song from this project. But hopefully you will have something new to put people onto, or songs that everyone would kind of enjoy. So, and I was just thinking of that because it's like that used to be the deciding factor as to what was good to me. You know what I mean? There'd be music that everybody knew, but in terms of like what I cared to listen to, it's like what's gonna make it onto my iPod. And I started buying more memory, more storage and stuff. Um, But I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop right there, and then I guess like you kind of run us through yours just so we're not getting too too far ahead of each other. So
Yeah, no, that's pretty uh, close to my experience. For the most part, in the early ages,
mm,
the only thing I do remember is around like the MP3 times, like the got MP3 players coming out, and then you can download them online
mm-hmm.
or LimeWire, wherever. It was a Napster, just different stuff like that. And at some point, I was always the guy that like burned the CDs and created, CD
Mm.
people, like, yeah. Just so I that was kind of like my first introduction to just curating playlists and music for people and myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I say fast forward into like I think the peak of really, yeah, the peak of me being interested in music deeply is I'd say like my freshman year of high school. So that was like the start of that was the start of the mixtape era too. So like I'm
Mm-hmm.
listening to Wiz Khalifa and just like what Kid Cudi, Ace Hood,
Yeah.
like um yeah, J. Cole, Wale, like all them. Like I just Lil Wayne, like so many mixtapes, and I'm always on that pip and hot new hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that was like you said, that was the first point in time where you can really remember that you can pick and choose who you want to make it to the final cut onto like your MP3 player iPod. So yeah, I definitely relate to that. And then that was also around the time where I did my own due diligence and like went back in time to see like, okay, what's the history of hip hop?
Right.
Like, I chose my own route. There may be some eras or artists that I missed, but for the most part, I hit like the big ones like Tupac, Biggie, um, Big L, Nas. Like I'm going to like their early work. Um, it was a Tribe Called Quest, one of my favorite rap groups.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was just doing my homework at the time, like, and that was like all throughout high school. And yeah, and at the same time, I kind of correlated the origins of them or those artists, and kind of correlated that with and realizing that I was witnessing like the start of some of these other artists too that we
Right.
talk about now.
Mm-hmm.
Wale, J. Cole, Big Sean, ASAP Rocky, Tyler the Creator, Schoolboy Q, Kendrick, all them. Like you get to witness that in real time. So that's kind of cool for me, and that just kind of kept me going. Like my passion for music just and hip hop especially just kept going. So yeah, I always try to keep up with like, at least like the top few that I like the most. Um, but I can really remember the start of me listening to Tyler Creator, like his mixtape like Bastard and
Mm-hmm.
the Goblin album. Like I kept up with him and All Future from the beginning, and yeah, like a lot of these artists nowadays that we consider to be at a certain point in their career now, just it's just really cool to see. Um, and then yeah, we also saw like the shift in streaming. So it's funny because the beginning of my high school career is when mixtapes were starting to kind of come into their own
Right.
and phases. And then when I started college, that's when streaming kind of started to
Yeah.
ramp up, became a thing. So just being able to go from like earlier childhood to like see my mom playing tapes and then hearing stuff on the
Cassette tapes.
radio, and then
Exactly.
burning CDs. I remember I got my first CD player on like it was my tenth birthday, I think. It was
Mm-hmm.
some like the only CD player I really wanted because my mom used to have a Walkman, and that's when CDs were like kind of coming to the forefront, pushing those away. And then from to burning CDs for myself and people. Um, yeah, then just seeing like okay, mixtapes now things are online. I can go on my computer, do this. Then YouTube, you
Mm-hmm.
know, YouTube kind of started when I was in middle school, but it just kept going. Like even in high school, like that's when you can really go down a rabbit hole. There wasn't as much saturation for things,
Right.
uh, and that was the biggest thing too. You realize that nowadays, like things are a lot more saturated, just as far as like how much music is there, different ways to consume it, different ways to produce it and create it, different ways to curate it. So, but yeah, now it's just crazy to see just a shift in all of those things from
Right.
analog to digital to where we at now. So
Yeah.
And that also speaks to how, like you kind of touched on before, like how did they distribute or consume the music?
Mm-hmm.
We as consumers consuming it nowadays mostly digital now, like on streaming. But it's also cool to see because I have like some vinyl records. I know you collect some vinyls too, so it's like a lot of people they still want that that touch, that sense of like touching the art and having a piece of something to archive. And reference and look back on with the music. So yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one thing we did forget about was like the influence of seeing the music on TV and music videos. So
yeah,
that's
that was a
something I
big
forgot to
one too.
mention. So 106
Yeah,
in Park set the
yeah,
precedence for a lot, and I think that's really where we got to start when we're talking about how we're ranking people, like, because that
yeah,
used to be our measuring stick for what was
hmm,
good and what wasn't. So like how long something would stay on the top 10 of 106 in Park was
yeah,
extremely important. And it's like,
hmm,
yeah, if they don't stay on 106 in Park that long, then it's like you not really, you're not popping like you thought. So that's really kind of where I think my introduction to Ti came from, coming
okay,
from New York. So he was someone who was on 106 in Park, and I think that's
hmm,
how a lot of other people knew like rappers like 50 Cent and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I feel like
definitely,
106 in Park was that core thing, even though it was
hmm,
based in New York. It introduced so many people to music, and then like those would be like you would hear it on 106 in Park, and then if it was on 106 in Park you would probably hear it on the radio
oh
depending
yeah, for
on where you
sure.
are. So it's like
Name,
that was the
all that.
main thing. So I think that's really where, if we talking big three, it's like we got to look
Hmm.
at the 106 and Park era and think of who was running that, because I think it's a similar audience, but it's kind of grown. Like I think that's where we used to start to, because that's where 50 Cent and Kanye squared off
Exactly.
that. So it's like when we start
Right.
talking about who's the best, or you know what I mean, what everybody wants, I want to say that that's a major point in time when we're actually trying to, and that's crossing the genres too, because of what they
Yeah.
weren't necessarily making the same type of music, but it's like you had to clear out 50 Cent in order to make room for Kanye's music and for
Mhm.
that to be considered the best at that time.
Exactly. Like yeah, that's a good point because I remember that was part of my daily routine.
Daily.
After school, I'll get off the bus, get home, and then when I'm doing my homework before or after, I'll turn on 106 in Park and see what's the top hits, top music videos, and I really specifically remember like the T Pain era, like really that whole era. But I remember there was one time I came home from school. I was in middle school, and this was like at the very beginning of MP3s, MP3 players, all that stuff, because they was marketing all this stuff in the music videos too.
Mm.
And that's also what made you want to like that just marketing those products. But I remember there was a song. It was it was Run It. Where Chris Brown was my first time ever seeing it. It was like a world premiere on BET.
Yeah,
One and I was like, wow, this is like amazing. Like it was just a addictive.
that was a game. Like, hey,
It was, and
Chris
he
Brown
was
was
like,
a game, and he was super young too. It was like, oh,
yeah,
he only like
he was,
3 years older than me. It looked like.
yeah, he was like the poster child for like for the beginning of that age, that new age stuff. So he'll have like the latest MP3 players and stuff, and
Yeah,
you saw like Soulja Boy kind of did that stuff too, and then but I specifically remember when Chris Brown kind of set things off on that front. Yeah, that was the beginning of a lot. 'Cause I think that was what 2005, I believe.
yeah, that was right when I got down to hold on, I got some I'm looking at it like hip hop music from 2003 on the other on another screen. Really they start counting it at 2004, like on Google, where they'll show just the different songs. So when I type in 2004, it got Drop It Like It's Hot, Lean Back, Fat Joe, Overnight Celebrity. Now see, that's the song I tell people. Or no, hold on. Was it? It might not have been that song, but I remember I started playing the viola because of I want to say maybe what was the song other than Overnight Celebrity? It was with Kanye. It was the maybe it was a Overnight Celebrity. What was the other one with Twister?
Was it
Him and
when
Twister.
the Overnight Celebrities with Twister, right?
Yeah, that's the Twister song. And then what was the other? What year
There's another
did?
one. I think R. Kelly, right? Was it
Hold on, I gotta look it up. Kanye, Twister. Yeah, Overnight Celebrity. I thought that came out when I was still in. I was 2004. I don't know. I'm trying to remember because I could have sworn I had to have heard that earlier. Because that was like one of my inspirations to try and play some strings. Hearing like a Kanye beat early on.
Oh, okay, okay.
It might have been. Hold on. What was before? Slow jams. Okay, so he dropped College Dropout in 2004. What year was that in 2004? February 2. So he dropped it early 2004. But I feel like he had singles out earlier than that. So he might have dropped that 2003. Maybe I'm tripping. I could have sworn that was like an inspirational, like I guess that's revisionist history on my end, but I'm just like, oh yeah, that was my inspiration. I was like, that wasn't even out at that point. But yeah, just seeing some of the songs that were dropping at American Idol was big. Yeah, Ruben stuttered, singing "I'm Sorry" 2004. Like that's like what hit my head when I'm thinking "Breathe."
Yeah.
Fabulous had one of my favorite songs with "Breathe." That was definitely one of my favorite songs
Oh yeah,
at a
Fabulous.
point
Yeah,
in time.
he was
Hey, you
on
gotta
top.
breathe.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, Sierra
Remember that?
1-2 Step came out in 2004.
Yeah.
Dang, 2004 was a good year for hip hop. But yeah, I think my whole introduction, or yeah, it's 106 in Park. When did they shut down? That's a question. When
Mm.
was 10? Dang, it ended in 2014. I didn't
Okay.
even realize
Well,
it.
that makes sense because I mean, obviously they did that because they saw the shift and the views were going down a lot,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's the consumption, and that's right before. That's the year before streaming really became a thing.
yeah. Yeah.
So that makes
Actually makes.
sense.
Yeah, that was like 2 years after I graduated high school, so I wasn't even paying attention to it at that point. So it did lose
Same.
its importance, and it was just like the thing was okay. The thing with 106 in Park, why it lost its importance is because you could find the music that you wanted online without having to. Before that was the only place you was finding music videos for real. But then YouTube
Exactly.
is going crazy now. So it's like, why am I waiting to watch? Like you could just watch your favorite one. You ain't have to wait for it to be at the end of the number one spot, and you
Exactly.
really
Yep.
didn't care who was ranking it at that point. So I feel like
Yeah,
it's
that's it.
its
Mhm.
last relevant season. I'm trying to think. I
It
feel like
definitely had what like I remember the last thing I remember. Trying to think which one came later. So I remember, of course, the Chris Brown thing. That was '05, and then I remember was it '07. '07 was Bow Wow and Sierra song,
the
and then
yeah.
'09 was it '09 or '08? It was. I gotta yeah. Let me look up because I remember when Kanye introduced Kid Cudi and they premiered the Day and Night video, and that I mean that's like ingrained in my memory too. Like that was substantial too because just the artists that followed Kid Cudi and the sound and the but
Yeah.
that I remember that was a good history point of history in time too. But um, the last I'm trying to think of like the last episode ever that I remember from 106 and part like the latest one. I don't know.
I feel
Yeah,
like
I can't
once
remember.
once
Was Drake?
Roxy and AJ were gone, I feel like that's when I wasn't really
Yeah,
locked in no more. I ain't even pay attention to it after they left. I was already starting to
trying.
fall off, and then once they left, I was like, oh, they got Bow Wow on here now. Like, I'm pretty
That
sure
kind of
he
made
came
it.
right after.
I kind of somewhat stuck around that time when Bow Wow took over. But I'm trying to think what big artists. Yeah, because they showed, didn't they? Yeah, they showed Forever, right? Um,
With
by
Drake,
Drake. Didn't they premiere that with Drake and Kanye and all them? Was that premiering on
possibly.
One Six Park?
I feel like it should have been. That was on. I remember that was something I was looking at on YouTube though, for sure. Like,
But if it was, then That's probably the last time I watched around the last time I watched One to Six and Park because
okay.
I can't remember anything else that big uh, being
Yeah.
a reason for me to tune in.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, like you said, we're going on YouTube, we're curating our own playlists and our own music on our own devices now, and that also represents the shift, like
Mm-hmm.
that type of artist and them knowing what's going. Yeah, I think it had to been like Drake's first album because I think he was still doing promo.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy though, because he was like the starting point of that stuff too. So yeah,
Was
you
Drake
like
ever on
even just like
106 in Park? Let me see. I don't. I
I
feel like he should have been.
yeah, I do. I think I remember them premiering Forever at least on there, and then him promoing. Well, did he
Yeah,
promo
he was
Thank Me
on there
Later on that?
11 years ago. Oh wait, hold on. He was on there talking about nothing was the same though. That's crazy.
Oh, I definitely wasn't tuning in at that time.
Yeah, I was in college. Yeah, I'm in college at that point. That's actually what
Yes.
happened. 106 and or Park only came to a place I would look at if an artist I knew was like premiering something on there. I wasn't looking
Mm,
there for the daily songs because it was like at that point you hearing the daily songs on the radio all day long, and then and it's the same ones that's on 106 and Park. So it
exactly.
was like
And
you
also
have to hear it.
and also in line with us self curating our things and discovering and keeping up with whoever we want to keep up with as far as their music. That was also the point where social media came into play, and
Mm.
now you
Mm-hmm.
able to follow your favorite artists, talk to them or connect with them online. Like they doing the same thing directly to their fans. Like that also took away from the need of curation programs like 106 and Park and stuff like that. So yeah, it just gave more power. It just cut out the middleman. Like
Right.
okay, the artists can go directly to the fans can go directly to the artists, keep up with that. Like they can drop stuff on SoundCloud, they can drop stuff on YouTube. Like yeah, it was that was a cool time just to see the start of that.
Yeah, I'm over here going back on. I see when Big Sean was there,
Hmm.
Lil Wayne, because I was listening to I don't want to get all over the place real quick. Hold on, let's stick on because I was definitely about to jump somewhere crazy. Um, so we was just talking about the beginning of, or just the effects of 106 in Park, and so I think so we stopped watching 106 in Park for the countdown aspect. It was kind of more just like whoever they was bringing on, uh, and there was no longer a need because it used to have a chokehold on being the only place we could see the videos
Yeah.
if you weren't online. So and something that I meant to say back when we were talking about downloading music was if you were doing that, you were really kind of rare because most people weren't technically savvy enough to get the music onto their
Hmm.
phones in a lot of
Yeah.
cases. So it's like if you weren't purchasing the music, you really
Hmm.
you had trouble have so if you were someone who had like the mixtapes and all that other music, it was like and that's something I
Yeah.
had to think about because I'm like I remember listening to music that other people didn't know because they didn't go through everything I went through to get those MP3 files. So
Exactly. Yeah.
it was
And
like,
that's the whole thing too. Yeah.
and I feel
And
like
that's
that puts you in a different category when it comes
does.
to it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. So then you got to think about how many people were doing that.
Right.
And so that means they so dedicated, they're gonna keep up with. the artists they want to keep up with. So they're gonna follow the journey, and that's what those artists that we talked about earlier are about. Like it's about the journey,
Mm-hmm.
and we been able to be close witnesses to that, and that creates a deeper connection. And then that makes people want to spend their money to go to the concerts, like in the beginning stages. Like yeah, I remember going to my first Kendrick concert, and that's when he brought out like all of Black Hippie because I mean it was right before his album. It was like a few months before his Good Kid, Mad City dropped,
Mm-hmm.
and then that following what semester, then he came to Georgia State at Panthapalooza. So I basically saw him like twice in 1 year. Like that was really cool for me.
Yeah.
And J Cole did an All in a Dream concert, so I was able to yeah, I was able to go to that like during the summer. Like it was yeah, $1 to see J Cole. Yeah, it was cool. I really appreciate concerts like that and artists like that.
Yeah, once I found out about concerts, man, that was a whole game
Yeah,
changer. Cause I
yeah,
wasn't even doing that when I was in high school for real. Like, even though that was
yeah.
when. Cause so who would you say was your first like favorite rapper? Cause I'll say like if I'm tracing it back, I say it started off with 50 Cent,
Okay.
then it went to Kanye, but then when
Mm.
Kid Cudi came out, I was like, okay, this is my chance to like really start from ground zero with an artist, and like
Yeah,
he was giving all the vibes that I like, was looking for at that age, just in terms of like it was something new. I was like, oh, this is, he's got a couple
yeah,
bars here. It's a different type. So that was
yeah.
when I was like, okay, I think this is so I would say Kid Cudi was probably my first like naturally favorite rapper.
Okay. Yeah, definitely for me, like as far I guess if we're saying rap, and like my first favorite, my because it came at a time when I was doing my homework, like just for my due diligence of rap and hip hop, I got stuck on like Most Def at a point in
Okay.
time,
Hmm.
and so he became like my first favorite rapper, and then I mean even now he's still like my all time favorite rapper, even though he hasn't released music in a while,
He just
but
announced though. He just announced him and Alchemist
oh really?
just today. Yep.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Just
love that. Okay,
just announced that
that's.
today.
I still remember when him and Manny Fresh was supposed to drop a project, and that never came out.
Most definitely Manny Fresh.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they did like a couple of songs and stuff, but they never released a whole project. But but yeah, so most of was my first favorite rapper, and then if I'm taking it to like have an opportunity to see a rapper's journey from start to where they are now, it was I'm trying to think who came first. I think J. Cole came first for me.
Okay.
And then that through that, because I was following him so much, I was reading articles and blogs and stuff, like everything.
Hmm.
And through that, I found out about him creating a beat for Kendrick Lamar. And it was High Power. It was for his Section 80 project.
Okay.
And that's when I was like, oh, who is he? I knew J. Cole made beats, but I'm like, oh, he making a beat for
Another artist.
another rapper. And so I went down the Kendrick rabbit hole. And so, yeah, hey, I'm just listening to Section 80 and then going back and listen to Overly Dedicated and stuff like that. And then I also, yeah, I believe that's around the time I started listening to Schoolboy Q heavy too. Like yeah, I was just going crazy with the TDE music. But I'll
Hmm.
say like, yeah, J Cole's probably like my first from beginning to end journey favorite rapper at that time for me to witness that from the beginning.
Okay. So yeah, I think that may be the place where we could start because I think at that point Kanye was still my favorite rapper. Actually, okay, hold on. That's what I did mean to
I have most of the favorite rappers though, but
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So Wayne, I feel like what we saw with NBA YoungBoy is the same phenomenon we saw with Lil Wayne
Oh yeah, for
because
sure. Yeah, you're right.
Wayne was dropping mixtapes, right? So he was dropping mixtapes that we had access to if you were savvy enough to
Mm-hmm.
get it onto your phone and stuff. So that's like because remember at this point if an artist dropped an album, you might not have access to it if you're not purchasing it. We
Yeah.
wasn't really like on LimeWire like that yet at that point to like get the real album. So it's like we weren't hearing the whole thing. We hear the singles, and
Mhm.
then but we weren't. Once we started getting tastes of full projects from Wayne, like as a mixtape,
Yeah.
that was the game changer, I think, because all of that music was free and like everybody could
Exactly.
hear it.
That's what made it. That's what made it so powerful. Was that it was free.
Right.
Like it's, and then sometimes the mixtape sounded harder than the album.
Right.
So it's like,
Exactly.
yeah, and it's free. So then that kind of broke the system. That kind of, yeah, that really broke the system and actually trendsetted the whole streaming thing in the first place. Um, I mean, and then that was also like they use that as a loophole at times when they couldn't necessarily drop a project or album yet. Then they
Mm-hmm.
will, okay, well, I'm not gonna, I'm just gonna I'm gonna compile all the songs or most of the songs that didn't make the album, or I'm just gonna do this and just drop it for the fans as a mixtape. Like that was always a cool thing.
Yeah, I think that was a very, very big thing. So, okay. This is now where I think we can kind of get into our discussion. So,
Okay.
if we look back, Wale's first mixtape. Hold on, I gotta see when Lil Wayne dropped some of these mixtapes. So his first mixtape, or it was he dropped in 2007. He dropped
Mhm.
the mixtape About Nothing in 2008. And so his first, like when people were really now starting to listen, I'll say 2009 for the start of the new class. So that's Cuddy,
Okay.
Cole, and Wale all coming out at this point. So
And Drake and
2009. You said
Drake
what?
too. Yeah, Drake and Kendrick, right?
Yeah. So 2009 is where we'll start this discussion. Let me see. When
Okay.
did Drake? Let me see when he might have dropped the comeback season. Okay, so like a lot of them got started in 2007, but 2009 was when all of the major ones dropped. So you got So Far Gone, you
Yeah.
got A Kid Named Cuddy, you got
Hmm.
I think The Warm Up by J. Cole. No, hold on. He
Yeah.
dropped that in he dropped
That's a no
oh
nine.
yeah, no, The Warm Up is 2009. The
Yeah.
Come Up was in 2007.
Yeah.
So they're all a little deep into, or this they second project into the game for all of them. This is Kid
Yeah.
Cudi's first mixtape on this level. Let me see Big Sean real quick. I feel like Big Sean came out a little bit later. Now Big Sean dropped Finally Famous Volume 2 2009. So yeah, everyone started in 2009 who we're kind of
Now
discussing.
I would I would want to put Wiz in there, but Cushion OJ dropped in 2010. But I still feel like he's part of that class. Or what do you think? You don't think he's part of that class?
I feel like Wiz Khalifa, because to me, well, no, he dropped Deal or No Deal and Burn After Rolling. So yeah,
That's
he's there.
yeah.
So
Okay.
that was like his first.
Yeah,
But
because
see,
yeah,
the
Burn
thing
After
is,
Rolling.
I
Yeah.
didn't. He started like his first project was 2009. Everyone
Mhm.
else's started in like 2007.
Yeah.
So he was
Okay.
like,
Okay.
even though everybody was like a rookie. Hold on one second. You kind of okay. You did. Even though he was kind of a rookie, it was almost like he was in his rookie season. Everyone else was in a sophomore season in terms of like projects. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And
Because I think, yeah, because locally he did drop. And because I wasn't local, I wasn't in tune with that, but he did drop some projects in '07 and '08. But I feel like that's more like very underground, like
yeah,
local. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, as far as his cutoff on that,
and that's
yeah, that
why
was
I
way
feel
too.
like because Wiz in my school when I was in when I had gone to Grayson and then my freshman year, I feel like he
Mhm.
was big with the class just under me. So people who
Okay.
graduated in 2013, like that was who they was claiming
Um,
was their face. So it was just like, but I'd already like been into. I was already listening to Kid Cudi and stuff, and I was just like, I liked Wiz though, but
yeah,
it wasn't hitting the same because I'm like I think quality wise he wasn't on um Kid Cudi, J. Cole, Wale's level yet because that was his first
yeah,
project.
definitely, not then, yeah, definitely, I agree.
So I think that's where I fall when it comes to the Wiz Khalifa. But then yeah, 2010. Then I mean, he dropped that Cushion OJ, and then things really took off for him. So his second project goes in with everyone else's though.
Yeah, and he was pretty active on YouTube too, though. Early, like
Mm,
he would have like the was it the day to day series and stuff. Like yeah, and that's when he was promoting. Like he would have like his music from the mixtape. Like Dylan No Deal had a few songs that were in the vlogs and stuff. But man, he was. I think he took full advantage of the YouTube
yeah,
probably better than some of the other artists that we're talking about too. Though outside of I don't know, even J Cole didn't really use YouTube like that, but I feel like Wiz kind of. I think that's where he kind of helped build his core audience as well, in addition to the other routes. But yeah,
yeah. I don't know.
yeah, that's actually cool. Now I think about that.
And so this is in between the times of so Soldier Boy had just dropped his. So really, Soldier Boy is leading everything off now, and we got to think about what's going on at this time too. MySpace people got they song pages and everything. So that's big. I didn't even have MySpace though, so
Yeah, I didn't either. Yeah.
that was just a wave that I skipped out on. But
Mm.
yeah, Soldier Boy he had dropped his second in 2008. He ain't dropping 2009, so that's really when everybody had a time to, get in there and with that one he had to turn my swag on. Well, the
Mhm.
Gucci bandana that was a big song. Bird Walk. So his actually his second album went kind of crazy. He
Yeah,
had
he
the
has a lot of good,
Yums.
especially in the South. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
he's on the radio. He was on the radio all the time, always on the video on YouTube, and just yeah, he also took full advantage of YouTube too. Yeah,
but see, it was really that was the point where it was like very single heavy. So he had a lot of
yeah,
songs that were singles here. When I'm looking at it, like
yeah.
yeah, turn my. I think Pretty Boy Swag wasn't on here. Nah, Kiss Me Through the Phone though. Yeah, Kiss Me Through the Phone. He had a
That
lot
single.
of hits on like, and this peak 106 in Park too, 2008.
Yeah, yeah, because I remember that's when what Trey Songz was big on 106 Part Two. Like, yeah,
Yeah. Oh man.
that was,
That was the thing.
yeah,
Trey Songz was because that's where the female audience is mixed in here in terms of popularity because he was
yeah,
shutting down 106 in Park and being just like top 10 all the time.
yeah.
So it's like we knew him from there.
That's facts. That's facts.
Let me look
Oh,
at
speaking of that, another thing I remember from 106 Park, they just had like a lot of staple moments. Like I remember when they premiered Five Star Chick, Yo Gotti featuring Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
I think that's my first time. Was it my first time hearing Nicki Minaj, or was it my first time hearing Yo Gotti, or both? I don't know, but I remember that. And what year was that? Was that '05? Let me see.
Yo, I feel like 2009 in terms of mixtapes was
Oh, that was
undefeated. Oh my god. Lil Wayne dropped No Ceilings in 2009.
mm, yeah, so that was 2009. Okay,
Hold on.
but yeah, because that's my freshman year, high school. Yeah, '08, '09. Okay, man. But still, that I think that's my introduction to Nicki Minaj, and I don't think we've ever seen like a outside of like but Lil Kim and all that. Like, I don't think we saw like a big female rap star. I think that's when she was introduced into like her own lane, and just like again to speak to like the saturation of today, there was nobody else to compete with her, and
Mm,
no like a lot less saturation in the space as opposed to now. And I think that still holds true with the mixtape era. Like even though a lot of these guys dropping they dropped mixtapes in '09 and stuff like that around the same time, there would be some times where somebody won't drop that same year, somebody will drop next year. But yeah, I feel like it was less distractions, less saturation, which also allowed us to have multiple artists to keep up with. As opposed to today, like it's really hard to keep up with a lot of these releases now.
Okay, hold on. It started echoing real quick.
Okay,
I
okay.
don't think anything. I don't think you did anything. It just randomly it started putting in an echo on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that just randomly started. My bad.
Are you good?
Okay, I think that's maybe a little bit better. All right, test it out real quick. Say some testing.
Yo, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, it's not as bad now. It was just getting to where it was like doubling up when she was saying.
Oh,
But
so,
yeah, it sounds better.
okay. But I was just basically saying like even back then when we're on the mixtape era, there was a lot less saturation because it was a new space, so there was nothing to fill it up with. So yeah, all these projects and stuff coming out, like we could keep up with as much artists we wanted at the
Right.
time.
So okay. So yeah, 2009. So we'll start at that point with the discussion with between J. Cole and Wale. So at this point they're both a solid project in. So 2009 he had J.
Yeah.
Cole's The Warm Up,
Mm,
and then we have Wale has Attention Deficit.
yeah. So that's an album and a
Verse and
verse.
mixtape.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so
So for me, like I listened to both, and I was looking forward to both because with J Cole, I had already listened to the Come Up, and it was cool. Like I saw the potential as far as like just the production because he's making his own beats, sampling stuff, and then but it's just the quality wasn't there.
mhm,
The audio engineering and the mixing, and that's just a technology thing in '07. When you're working on it.
right.
But I recognized something, and then I kept up with him, and then he releases the warm up, and the warm up had everything. It had quality. It was better quality as far as the audio and production on the come up, and then yeah, just the lyrics and the writing and like just the theme. Like, oh, he's on the come up, like he's starting his journey, like he's starting for real. It's like gonna make something of himself, and that resonated with me because when that came out, I was in my freshman year of high school. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm trying to get it too. Like I always use music to help me on my grind, no matter what I'm doing, like work,
Mhm.
whatever, like a gym, like it don't matter what it is. But yeah, I closely relate to that, and then I ain't never heard nobody like his storytelling ability was just like impeccable to me.
Mhm.
I think like his yeah, this it's like I felt like I was like right there picturing everything the way he was saying it. Like his story, I think that's what really made me gravitate more towards him early on. With the warm up, that solidified like, oh man, not only is he producing this by himself, but the storytelling is just crazy. And then yeah, I think I know the warm up like the back of my hand, to be honest, to this day. And then with the Wale attention deficit, so I remember he was on a pretty solid marketing and promo run around that time. He was on 106 in Park, and he was putting out little blogs pieces. Well, they were putting out blog pieces covering him and stuff, and
Mhm.
he had the support. I remember he was yeah, I think he had what? He had Kid Cudi on there, right? He had Kid Cudi, Lady Gaga. He had some big people. He had Gucci. Um, yeah, did he have a Kid Cudi song? Or did
He
I
had a
make that
J
up?
Cole. He had the J Cole song on there.
Yeah, I think I feel like I don't know why, but Kid Cudi for some maybe his music video played after Wale or whatever. I think they were always like the top two in music videos in 106 in Park at a point because of his song. What's that song? Chillin'. Because of
Yeah,
Chillin'.
DC Chilla, we be chill.
I was going crazy. But to get back to the music on that album, Attention Deficit, that was probably like the best album I heard that year. like hands down, that's right. When it came out, that's all I was listening to as far as albums. And I used to get kind of frustrated because this is '09, right? So uh, the one came out, Attention Deficit came out. I'm listening to both of these projects all the time, on the way to school, on the bus, on the way back from home, back from school to home, on the bus, like uh, doing whatever I'm doing. I'm always listening to these projects, but I'm also, telling my friends and classmates about it. The ones I know that like music and stuff, and they looking to me because I'm the guy that puts people on the music. I mean, I'm
Right.
burning CDs, doing all this and that. So, oh, what you listen to? Like, what you think? And I'm like, yeah, you got to listen to Attention Deficit. Wally, you got to listen to J. Cole. I was going crazy with J. Cole. I was like,
Yeah.
just, yeah. And, but then I got frustrated because it just felt like, after Attention Deficit, it just felt like nobody really was resonating with it. Like, it felt like I was the only one listening to it. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm not hearing, outside of chilling, it kind of fell off a little after it made this run.
Hmm.
I would have to self curate listening to the Wale album. I wouldn't hear nothing on One Assistant Park or no coverage about nothing or no more promo. He just kind of like faded for a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, and then of course Ambition came out a couple years later, but still, like at that time, I just felt like that album in particular did not get its just due at all. Like I honestly think people forgot about this album, and which
I
is
agree.
crazy. Like because this album is incredible, but
I agree.
on top of but just aside from that, with the J Cole thing and the warm up, yeah, that's in my mixtape Hall of Fame. That's probably top two mixtapes of all time for me, if not number one. Like it's yeah, that the warm up man, yeah,
I think
yeah,
I
crazy.
think what you were saying about people not hearing um attention deficit is majorly attributed to it being an album and not a mixtape. So,
Possibly, but it's like the I mean he did go on a promo run for it, but I I don't think it was as powerful. Like the video was doing well, but outside of the video, unless somebody's listening to One System Park, and I mean I'm sure I think they played the song. I think there was only really that was a problem. There's only one song. Yeah, there was only one song which was chilling that was really making the waves, and so that was not the best song on the album at all. Like
right,
Beautiful
exactly.
Bliss, like, Triumph, like Mama told me, like man, that wasn't even the best song on the project. But I feel like because of the way they
Right
promoted it,
there, right there.
they kind of boxed him in, and people thought, oh, this is Wale, so he makes this music. Oh, okay, and they not even like understanding like that was just to get you to listen to the project or whatever, or just to get you introduced to him. But maybe it was his team that didn't know what direction to take it because he was so versatile, and they was like, "Hey, we just gonna promote chilling." Like I don't know what it was, but they did not do him any justice because that was far from the best song on the project. The whole project is like crazy.
That becomes the first point where I'm like, okay, I think this might have been one of the biggest issues with Wale's career, the fact that he was dropping this actual album while everyone else was putting out these mixtapes.
You're right, and we got to look at what was this before he was on Rock Nation?
I
That's a
believe that he should
deficit
have still been on let me see. Does it say that here? It
because I
says
would want to know if he was still on Rock Nation. Maybe this was I think this was probably his first and only Rock Nation. Bro. I don't know. We got to look that up. But
I'm looking at it right
if he was on Rock Nation and they released this album and promoted and all that, like maybe that also is what kind of contributed to not even a beef, but just like some tension between him and J. Cole, or him thinking that he's not a priority because there was more, and not to say he needed it, but there was more allowance for artistic development for J. Cole to put out a mixtape, and then you have Wale go straight to putting out an album.
which was fire. Like, and that's the thing where I don't want it to get it because it's like the album I think was fire. He had because he had
Yeah,
chilling and pretty girls. Pretty girls
yeah.
was another song that was like a hit off of it
Oh yeah,
because that's one
yeah,
with Gucci and
yeah.
yeah, Gucci was on that one. But yeah, because to me, once I fully heard, I didn't hear that whole album at first. Like I was just hearing those for the singles because those were the only
Yeah.
ones available for download.
Uh-huh.
So I had the whole J. Cole's. I was listening to, but I had Kid Cudi's, a kid named Cudi, and that was what I was playing. I'm playing that twenty four
Yeah. And
seven.
see, that's the thing too. I never, even though, like I said, the market wasn't really saturated at the time. I was so locked in on J. Cole and a couple other artists, but I think, yeah, I didn't even listen to a kid named Cudi at the time when it came out.
Oh yeah, I was
But
playing
that,
that.
but I also like as a testament to like kind of choose your own path
Right. Hmm.
kind of thing that we had going on back then. Like, I didn't, but that it still led me to like I still listen to all of his albums. Like, yeah, Man on the Moon. Like, yeah, I listen to all his albums, but it's like, yeah, I didn't really. I kind of missed that, and even with ASAP Rocky, I didn't listen to all his stuff at the time. I just kind of picked and choose. Like, I would go, okay, J. Cole. I'm paying attention to Tyler, like all that stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't find out until about Attention Deficit as an album
Mm.
until the following year, I think. So I think
Wow.
so I think yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's a follow. Yeah.
2010 when I was like deeper into like getting my own music. And I think actually maybe from when did More About Nothing when he dropped that mixtape? That was when I was like, "Hold on. Hold on a
Okay. Yeah.
second. What's going on here?" Hold on, the mixtape about. Oh no, wait, was it More About Nothing? Yeah, More About Nothing was. Let me see. What year did that come out?
Yeah. 2010. Well, that's an album, though, wasn't it?
More About Nothing dropped. Yeah, 2010, summer 2010 when that came out.
That's a great. That was a really good one too. I don't think I listened to it as much, but I do remember it being really, really good.
That was my, and then like so I listened to that. So I count that as my introduction to Wale, even though I had heard chilling like, but once this project had dropped, I was like, oh, okay. And I was listening to nothing but this, and he took. That's when he took the spot for best rapper for me at that point. But I
Okay.
was that was when they was having the conversations like Kid Cudi not really a rapper. So it was just,
Hmm.
but I was also to myself, I was compartmentalizing it like, well, I do. There's like some things that I really like about Kid Cudi, like bars
Yeah.
wise and just like vibe wise, and in comparison to Kanye at that point too. So it's like it's a different type of appreciation for the music, and I didn't. That was when I started. Was like I don't have like necessarily a favorite rapper, and then Wayne is still dropping heat at this point. So
Yeah.
it's like Wayne is like the thing is everything that I'm downloading, you gotta have all the new Wayne. He's dropping so much music at this point, like you're not even waiting for him to like release an official. Like he's dropping almost every month, like almost
Yeah.
the same consistency. YoungBoy was dropping songs, like that's how
Yeah.
Wayne was coming out with music. So it's like you
I couldn't
had
keep
all
up
the
with
Wayne. You said what?
all. I couldn't keep up with all of them too. Like it was, yeah, it was crazy.
That was my thing though. I was like, no, I gotta get all the Wayne. Like I gotta make sure that I'm listening to the new
Yeah.
Wayne. And so I think, cause yeah, I think so. In 2009, what came out as my favorite mixtape was a kid named Cudi. I did
Mhm.
see. I was listening to the warm up, but I still kind of got on. I wasn't like I liked it, but it wasn't like something I was listening to as consistently as a kid named Cudi, and definitely not as consistently as Wayne. So I feel like
Okay.
Wayne was like my main go to, And then if I was
Mm-hmm.
trying to listen to anything else outside of that, then I was going to do a kid named Cudi.
Okay.
So that was kind of where I was. And then so then the following year, 2010, Wale came in. Wayne still dropping, his consistency. And then I feel
Yeah.
like that's when Kid Cudi was about to drop an actual album. Let me see.
Yeah. I believe so.
Kid Cudi. That might have been Man on the Moon.
Yeah, it
Oh, he
had to
actually
be.
dropped
Yeah.
that the same year. But this might have been like
Oh,
end of 2009. Okay, yeah,
okay.
he dropped that September 2009. So, yeah, I was full. After 2009, Cudi was like peak at that time. And then he dropped Man on the Moon 2 in 2010. So,
Mm,
when I'm looking at, if I go by year, for me
mm,
personally, Cudi took 2009. And then in 2010, I think he like Cuddy came back and like delivered exactly what I was hoping for in
okay.
2010. Oh snap! Actually, a kid named Cuddy came out in 2008. Mm. So, but I was still let's see, when did that drop in 2000? It dropped like summer 2008. So I was listening to that from the summer of 2008 to like 2009, and then he was also dropping. Hold on, I gotta look at what Lil Wayne was dropping at this point. Cause when did Carter 3 come out? Hold on, not Lil Wayne Kid. Lil Wayne, Carter 3. Cause he had the leaks or the drought mixtape. That was a big one.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He dropped. Okay, he dropped Carter 3 in 2008 too. So in 2008 it was Wayne was on top. Then by the end of 2009, that's when Cuddy was my favorite artist, I think.
Okay.
And then probably 2010 after uh More About Nothing, that's when Wale came in for my favorite. And what year were they all on the freshman cover? Was J. Cole on the freshman cover?
That I don't even know. I have to look that up. The Double XL.
Yeah.
Uh, what year would that be? Would that be 2011? 2010.
Let me see. Oh, he was on it with, what's this him? He was on it with Nipsey? Is this? Oh yeah. He's on 2010.
So Wale's on '09,
Right.
and then
Kid Cudi was on '09, and I think was Drake on there? Cause he'd have been '09 then too.
oh, Pretty Girls was 2010. Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. Yeah, Drake was never on a freshman cover. But Cole got put
Yeah.
on.
But see, he popped off on Forever that video.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, he ain't no freshman no more. Wale was on like the first one with that was before they started putting everybody on the cover. Cause that's Charles Hamilton. Charles Hamilton was one of my favorite rappers too at a point too.
Okay.
Dang, they had Asher Roth, B.O.B. That was an interesting time. Who else was
Well, the
on?
'07 one has everybody on it, but
You said what?
uh, yeah, I see the '07 one, and then I guess they skipped 2008,
This
and
one's
then
'07. Oh no, this one's '09. See, a freshman
let's
cover
see.
was almost as a. That's when it started being more important too.
And I never even like I don't think I ever paid attention to it until like college or something. I mean I would just hear about it. Like I don't think I ever really kept up with it though.
Mm.
Cause was it? I'm trying to think. What year did I keep up? Yeah. I would just always hear about it. I think 2016 or 2017 is when I started to like hear more about it because of Everyday Struggle. That's when it was like making a big topic out of it every year.
Got you.
Man, that was a really good show.
Yeah, nah, that was lit. I missed that show.
That's almost a staple. Like, not, I know it's different from 106 in Park, but you know, yeah, that has its place, its own place in history.
Who was on the first one? I think it started in '06. Yeah, it looked like they had Boosie, Lupe, uh, Dero,
Gorilla Zoe. Oh, I remember that. Yeah, it
Papoose.
was.
Who is that? Joel Ortiz? Is that him? Plies? Who was that? Like Red Cafe? I don't know.
Yeah, so they must have skipped
Rich Boy.
2008.
I said Dero. Crooked Eye. Yeah, Rich Boy. His song's still
Oh,
getting sampled.
you know who was big for me on the mixtape era that I forgot about is was Ace Hood. Ace Hood. I listened. I probably and they used to that. That's another thing that kind of I can kind of get with the Wale thing, but it was different with Ace Hood. For some reason, Ace Hood just had he had problems promoting or not promoting, but the quality on his albums wouldn't be up to par with the quality of his mixtapes at that time because he was just going so crazy on the mixtapes. But then when it came to the albums, that's when he was trying to be commercial. And I
Mm.
honestly, because of the times, I think that's also an issue too. Is that maybe that was the issue. Well, that was the issue with a lot of some of these a handful of these artists is yeah, okay, the quality that they're putting into the mixtapes like is more free and it's more like less pressure, no pressure,
Mm.
and it's great. But then when it comes time for the albums, because you're signed to these major labels and they have these metrics to go by and they have these things that they want to check off the list, then you got to have a hit, you got to have some radio play, you got to have something that's commercial for the mainstream. So and that was when it was really looked down upon to make like conscious rap a prominent thing in your
Yeah.
music, especially with albums. So I kind of think that that kind of contributed when I'm talking to Wale, and it affected J Cole too with his stuff. But with Wale, I think because it happened early on and he recognized that, that kind of created some tension between him and some of these major labels. Like he didn't really want to be tied down to that, and so I think he was seeking more freedom with his music, even though to me, Attention Deficit is a great album. I think to them, because like I say, I mean, a lot of people didn't really hear it like that,
Mm-hmm.
like let alone the same time it came out. So, and I probably, if I had to guess, I'd say that's because he didn't want to compromise, just make commercial stuff. And I think that was like the last time because again, like the music on there is so good, but yeah, there was some disconnect between his style at heart and then trying to be commercial. And even J. Cole kind of faced some of that stuff. Like he was that's why his worst song to me is always gonna be Work Out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because like he really tried to force a hit because he was under so much pressure because that's all these music execs and stuff know or knew at the time. Like okay, it's cool that you connect with your fans and stuff, and these mixtapes and being conscious and stuff, and you talk about real stuff. But we need, a hit to play on the radio.
Okay. I think.
I think that's like an intangible thing. That's I think that's a really big intangible thing with these early artists.
Yeah. Now I think. Now that I'm looking at it, because I think that really does kind of at the beginning offsets their careers because
Hmm.
now J. Cole's first album, so they all drop again in 2011, and this time it's all albums. But hold on, let me see. 2011.
And technically, Section 80 is kind of weird because some people think it's an album, some people say it's a mixtape. To me,
I think
Section 80
that's
is a
a mix.
mixtape.
Yeah, I would consider that a mixtape.
Yeah.
See, that's another thing. Yeah, I wasn't even on West Coast. Like, I'm strictly East Coast and Drake.
Okay, yeah. I
Cause
was. TDE had me on lock. Like that was probably the only West Coast I was listening to, like current Coast I was listening to, because I was heavy on Kendrick and Schoolboy Q music early.
I don't think I listened to them till maybe
Matter of fact, yeah,
2010. That might
because
have
we
been
talk
my
about
introduction.
East Coast, we got to talk about West Coast too. So Schoolboy Q, Limp Bizkit, because Habits and Contradictions was what, 2010 or 09?
That was my first Schoolboy Q. I was like, name of that is
That
so
was
hard.
that had me in a chokehold. That was released in 2012. Okay,
I was about to
yeah.
say, yeah, because I'm like, I wasn't on TDE that early. I started hearing about Kendrick,
Hmm.
uh, but I feel hold on, when did Section 80 drop?
2011.
Okay, yeah, so that was like the second wave now. I feel like it went 2009, then 2011.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And that was when, like, if we're looking at everyone as a class, so, but Section 80 was just now kind of hitting to the East Coast. Like, he one project in, I forgot what was the one, Overly Dedicated was before that.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so now Kendrick is still on par, but it's like happening so far away. It's like we ain't even we ain't even know about it for real yet.
Yeah, and in '09, so Kendrick did drop the Kendrick Lamar EP. Um, I was on him earlier than, yeah, because I listened to C4 and the Kendrick Lamar EP. Um, but again, I mean, everybody was doing it, but like I still, I don't know. We would still have to include that in the comparisons with the other artists' '09 pieces of work too. But even though C4 was more like a just dedication to Lil Wayne type of thing, which was cool. But I wasn't really overwhelmed by the Kendrick Lamar EP as I was with the warm up anyway. So like the warm up, yeah, that was it for me as far as the mixtape.
They was promoting Kendrick to me on YouTube, but I wasn't going. I was like, no, I don't feel like listening to that. Then Overly Dedicated. See, my thing was my first like people trying to put me on to Kendrick was that Michael Jordan song. Wasn't really a big fan of it.
Yeah, that was, yeah. I usually kind of overly dedicated is like it's dated. Like it was really good, but it just sounds dated. You can hear how dated it sounds compared to his other work.
Yeah, I feel like the wrong people was trying to put me on to that. So yeah, I
Dang.
wasn't really on to Kendrick until really until I found Schoolboy. I'm trying to let me go to Schoolboy
Mhm.
Q's track list or playlist or discography. Let's see. What was his first project? 2008. Setbacks. Let me see what was on Setbacks. That might have been the first songs I heard. Cook that.
Good one. Birds and the bees, Fig, get the money, kamikaze. Like yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, I didn't listen to anything on Setbacks. Let me see.
Dang, really? Dang.
Not really. Now I'm looking at it. I'm like, or Druggy with Hoes. That was the one. That was one that I heard. That
Okay.
might have been one of the early ones that I heard. Let me see where. Cause I remember the first Black Hippie song. It was like Zip That.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Zip That. Chop That. Let's see. When did that song come out? That song. Oh, that was a J Rock song. That came out in. That was 14 years ago. So that's 2010. Okay. So yeah, I found Black Hippie in 2010. That was
Okay.
my first introduction to them. And
Okay.
then that's
Good.
when but see at that point, this where my like where Ab Soul my because it was looking like Ab Soul was the leader of that from that initial song when I found them, and then that's what led me to like look into Schoolboy Q, but I wasn't like up on it at that point. So first
Yeah,
full project I listened to from Schoolboy Q was Habits and Contradictions, and I was like, this is hard. So I feel
it
like
was
that
a
might have
great.
been the first project from TDE that I was like all the way locked in on.
Oh, okay.
Cause what he had hands on the wheel, yeah, yeah. That's when I was like, you
My
said what?
hate joint last, and he, yeah, that,
Yeah,
yeah.
sacrilegious. Ooh man, this one, this a class. I was gonna say we need to rank all the TDE's projects.
Oh, yeah, that'll be fun.
That'd be fun. Um, Yeah, honestly, I mean the way this is more just because now it is kind of when we're talking about all these people, it's hard to like even just talk about J. Cole and Wale. It's like
That's what I'm
there's so
saying
much
because
more going on in the
exactly there was
rap
yeah
game,
there was yeah people just like the box I'm in, but yeah.
but it still don't explain how we. Well, that's what we're talking through. How do we get to that being the top three when we have so many of these
Oh
artists as
well,
well?
it's easy. Like it's just one. I mean, all these. I mean, we just talked about it. Like all these artists, we were able to follow their journeys and kind of pick our paths and stuff with them, which ones we're gonna follow. But at the same time, who who had a who had a who had the biggest stronghold to keep and retain and grow their fan bases, and I think that's what really shows because it really is one and the same almost because you can't have one without the other. Like they do crazy numbers because they have a crazy fan base as far as a quantity,
Mm-hmm.
and their fan base is always they can always fall back on no matter if they do a little more because of like more marketing and more new fans and stuff. They always have a certain baseline in sales because of their core fan base. All these artists do. It's just like some of their baselines are higher than others. Um, and it's just the quality of music too. Like it's the quality of music and market. I can't just say quality of music only because we just talked about Wale and his debut album. Like that was probably the highest quality music outside of the warm up and stuff that I heard that whole year in 2009. Like me personally, so some of the high quality music gets hidden because of the lack of marketing or support, but it also goes in correlation with the route that they choose. Like we know Wale, he's been on MMG, he's been on Rock Nation. I don't know if he's still with Warner Brothers or what he's been with Warner Brothers.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't know what he got going on.
okay, yeah, see, yeah, but it just depends on what type of uh what type of infrastructure you have no matter what label you on, what type of infrastructure you have. Because Chris Brown, I believe, um, I don't know if he's still on RCA. Like if
I
he
think so.
is,
That
whether he is or
sound
isn't though,
sound right.
if he is or isn't though, like it's just like he has a certain infrastructure where he has a lot more freedom on top of just like he's able to capitalize on his brand, on his name, just because of the legacy he's built and the career and hits that he's had over time. So it's more easy to give him more freedom. And so that's another thing because they're not tied down with the marketing. They're not tied down to like, okay, you gotta make a radio hit, you gotta make this type of hit or song. They're able to make anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I mean, this class that we just talked about, they're the ones that like made that cool. They made it cool to like, okay, I don't have to make a radio hit. Like I got the fans, I got them through intimate concerts or through social media, like through YouTube vlogs and studio session, whatever. Like they got the fans, but the fans know what they gonna get for the most part from these artists, and the artists know that okay, they can put out a certain level or a certain type of music that fits their style and doesn't necessarily have to be a mainstream hit or radio hit. So now that whole thing gets nipped in the bud, Now you can drop whatever. And so now we know, okay, there's no, now you have more freedom with the label, more freedom with whatever your infrastructure is. Um, and I'm saying that because Drake could do a surprise release, go crazy. J. Cole can do a surprise release, go crazy. Kendrick can do a surprise release, go crazy. Wale, I mean, he won't. That won't be the same. Big Sean, it won't be the same. Um, Wiz Khalifa might. I don't know. Kid Cudi might. But for the most part, we can easily say there's three people that could do it regardless. Like that's a test right there. Like the surprise releases too. Like that just speaks volumes. Like yeah,
Mm.
but that's because they nipped the whole promo marketing thing and radio it thing in the bud early on. Like they just like fuck it. I'm gonna be creative and think outside the box. I'm gonna fulfill these duties early on, but then after I fulfill these, and it's still gonna not affect the quality so much, then I'm gonna get out of that and really just keep straight like with the music, keep the core fan base, there at the core, and why they, keep doing what got them there in the first place.
Mm.
The type of style of music they are known for, whether that's storytelling or singing, rapping, like or production or certain elements, like they just got it. They just got the whole. They just have a really nice blend of the formula now. And I think that's yeah. To me, I think that's what differentiates them, those three, between all these other people that we just talked about.
When you was just saying that, I think it just dawned on me what's setting them apart is that they were all co-signed by goats. So J. Cole was the first
Okay.
signee of
Yeah.
Rock Nation.
Hmm.
Drake was put on by Wayne, who is
Okay.
pivotal to streaming in general and just being a goat. And then
Okay.
Kendrick was co-signed by Dr. Dre and Snoop.
Big Sean was co-signed by
By
Kanye.
Kanye, exactly. So it's like all of
Kid Cudi
them.
was co-signed by Kanye too.
Yeah, I would. I mean, that's why, because I really feel like Kanye kind of split up his influence, and I think
Hmm.
it needed to because of how his style was. Because it's like
Yeah.
Kid
Yeah.
Cudi was more for vibes, but he also rap like. But if you're looking for Kanye style of rapping, then you can kind of go to Big Sean, and so I look at it from if we were to make like a tree, those are kind of more direct lineages to um what transpired further down the line when we're talking about big three. So really if we talking about the big three, we're really still talking about the same initial four people from before. Cause I think Snoop would but Snoop is interesting because it's like it was really West Coast and it's
Mhm.
like he was still relevant, like when he was dropping beautiful, drop it like it's hot, like so he was still
Yeah.
making like hits, but we weren't looking to him. He's almost, it was like he was at that stage Drake is at now, where he was still dropping hit songs, but we didn't know nothing about his early music as like because my parents wasn't playing doggy style and that wasn't something
Yeah.
I was going back and listening to at that
Yeah.
age. So
And especially because of like being on the East Coast,
right,
like it would have been like the way we go back, like we start on the East Coast or New York, whatever. Like when we go back in time and do our homework for rap and hip hop, we start with the East Coast. Whereas on the West Coast, people maybe have done that with West Coast artists and stuff.
right.
But I think I don't know with the cosign thing. I think that is a strong point. Like, but also it's what they did with it. Like, just because you get the cosign, I mean, it's like, what do you do with it? I mean, they just, I mean, they had enough drive to do something with it still, and like put in the work. But yeah,
But I feel like that's a big part where Wale fell off. He ain't have a when you look at it, then he kind of signed with another artist who was kind of on his level almost,
yeah, that was a.
technically,
I
with
mean,
Rick
that's just
Ross.
it's like that's probably a reason why he didn't get. I don't know. It just didn't go that route. But
That was like the draft of that time if we want to think about it. Like
yeah,
who where everyone was going to land and who was going to sign with who,
yeah,
cuz it wasn't really that like label wise, we was looking like, okay, who's coming out of Young Money? Young Money was
Mm,
going crazy at this point because
yeah,
they had Nicki, Wayne was
yeah,
just could not do no wrong.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. That
and
was a
so
big three right there.
yeah, and then
They
Jay Z was already like retiring, but like people respected Jay Z. But
yeah,
like I think up until that point, I hadn't listened to a full Jay Z project till I feel like Watch the Throne might have been the first Jay Z project like I listened to it in its entirety for me
wow,
personally.
okay,
Like I think I had heard like I of course I heard different, of course the main singles and stuff, but
yeah,
I think at that point I don't think I had ever listened to a full Jay Z project start to finish.
yeah. I've only done that with like a few of his projects, but of course, reasonable doubt. When I was going back in time, like in high school and stuff, like when I was going back doing my homework on hip hop, and it came time for me to listen to reasonable doubt, like I was like, wow, I see why this is like Hall of Fame hip hop, like because
Mm.
reasonable doubt is insane. But it's crazy that was his first project or first album. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
can't think of what like I think when I found out that Kanye was producing on Blueprint 2. Now, actually,
hmm
okay, hold on. I'm lying. I did listen to the Black album, I think. What that was when he retired. Which one did he retire?
I think he had the Black album, I
The
believe.
Black
Yeah,
album? Okay, yeah, I probably listened to that. But the thing was for me, I was a 50 Cent fan, so I was just like 50 Cent over Jay-Z at that
Mhm.
point. So I wasn't even really like, and I was serious about that. So I was like, I listened to a lot of like when I went back and did my homework, I was listening
Mhm.
to a lot of Tupac. I didn't listen to
Yeah,
too much Biggie. Like I heard Ready to Die,
hmm
but I wasn't like I heard really the song I heard with Tupac and Biggie was like a mix up song. They like took verses from both of them, and I was like, oh dang, this is
yeah, like
hot.
stuff like yeah,
I can't remember what the name of the song was, but I remember both of their verses, and I was like, okay, that was like, if anybody had asked me about if I was listening to Tupac and Biggie, that would be the song that I would tell them about, even though it wasn't them together. Um,
got you.
but yeah, like I think that gotta be to me. That has to be the real origins of
Mhm.
what we're talking about, the big three. Cause and like when I think about it from that point, I'm not really mad at it anymore. I
Yeah,
was never
it could.
mad at it, but
Yeah, I get it. No, it definitely could be like even today, like well, I was gonna ask real quick if I get in that, like what would you what class would you put Future in? Actually, Future and Tyler the Creator, because Tyler did drop like the years we're talking about, like he dropped
yeah.
mixtapes now, same
Hmm.
year with these guys. And then Future, I think he dropped a little later, like a little. He still dropped around relatively around the same time. But yeah, what
I
class is
wasn't
Future?
listening to I wasn't listening. I didn't listen to Future till I got into college. Personally,
Okay,
Tyler was a bigger entity. Like at first I was thrown off from Tyler because of like I'm really deep into like listening to Ye. I'm deep into the Illuminati stuff, all of that, like research, all of that
yeah,
stuff. So when I'm seeing Tyler the Creator, I was a little off put at first by some of the symbolism that I
naturally,
was
yeah,
seeing.
yeah, naturally,
So I was very slow to it, even though I thought Yonkers was amazing. I was like, that's hard.
yeah,
But also, I was like, Tyler Creator was. I was looking at Odd Future like, yo, they were funny to me. It wasn't. I
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
really looking at them for. I didn't take them seriously as rappers at first. Like it seemed like a
Okay,
lot of shock value.
yeah,
First time I really like gave Tyler the Creator his props and like it changed my whole perspective was when he was on Trouble on My Mind with Pusha T. He
okay,
smoked that. I was like, oh, okay, so you have been playing this whole time. Like once
yeah,
I saw that, I was like, I got it, I got it.
uh-huh.
But I still yeah, Bastard. It made me uneasy, just like with the cover and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I mean, I was just like,
yeah,
that was
yeah.
all things that was kind of throwing me off when it came to early Tyler the Creator. But yeah, it was definitely um, big. But I think that's what I'm saying about Tyler now. Though I'm like, when you look at his career, he really did it organically from the bottom, like, and just growing his popularity, because he was also very
Yeah.
popular outside of mute. Like, I think at that point I was thinking people liked him more for his outside other than his music. I think at that
Okay.
point, like, I'm a huge Loiter Squad was hilarious to me.
Uh-huh.
um and like, I like the vibe, but it also, they had the ones where I wasn't into drugs or anything, so I was thinking,
Mm.
like, when they did the little prank where they was acting like they were eating drugs and throwing up.
Well, it's funny because I never really got into Lotus Squad. I never like really, not I didn't want to watch it. I just never really tuned into it. Like I missed, I
Yeah,
feel like I missed that part of his,
his
his,
girlfriend.
yeah.
Yeah, that was part that had thrown me off. Like, our future was a little odd to me. So that was like my barrier of entry. Like, I didn't really, first project I listened to from Tyler the Creator was Cherry Bomb.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Man.
what came out, or Wolf. I did look like Wolf. I started hearing what people was talking about. What song?
Yeah.
What one was Yonkers on?
Yonkers was on Goblin.
Okay, Goblin was
Yeah.
like, I was conflicted on Goblin, because I was like, after what I had seen earlier and what people were saying about Tyler the Creator, it was like, oh, he's
Yeah.
a devil worshiper, this, that, and the third.
Right.
I was like, I'm really not trying to get into that. But I was
Mhm.
hearing some of the music and I was like, this is hard.
Yeah. No.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely got like was it when Bastard and Goblin came out? I was just like, wow, this dude is different because it all started with the Yonkers video, and then I'm like listening and following up on his stuff, and yeah, just the imagery of his covers and everything. I was like, okay, yeah, this is kind of crazy, and like yeah, just growing up in a Christian household and everything, and having so much faith, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I could follow this stuff, but then
mhm.
also with that, just being young and stuff, and like growing up, I was like, hey, I'm just here for the music. So I did kind of look past it, and then I appreciated the rebelliousness of it,
Mhm.
and I kind of understood what he was doing, like whether he was going to stay there or not, musically and thematically. I understood like, okay, well, yeah, I'm just here for the art, like blah blah blah, and yeah, it was just something different. I was like, man, this dude, he could rap, but people like it's just getting masked for all this other stuff, but he can like rap, but it's not like he's like he was saying some crazy stuff, but
Yeah.
it's not like he's actually like going to go out and do this stuff. And it's like I just got a creativity portion of it, and I'm glad I stuck with it though because I got to witness like the growth from beginning to now, and yeah, it's really cool. And honestly, I feel like because he explored that early on, he probably wouldn't be. I don't think his musical route would have been what it is now if he didn't explore that stuff early on because it still kind of holds true elements in all his projects. So,
Yeah. Nah, for sure. Like, now I 100%, but that also
mm,
started me from not judging music a lot by like that too. So like, after
yeah,
I once I've seen further in his career, when I see where he took it, that's what stopped me
yeah,
from discriminating against music based
same.
off of something maybe being off-putting originally, or but that might be
Mm,
part of the creative, like what they're overall saying.
exactly, and to that point, that I think that's also why. I mean, we know like let's say trap music specifically can be vulgar. I mean, there's other types of rap that can be vulgar too, but trap can be vulgar and all that. And so Tyler wasn't trap, but he did say a lot of like vulgar, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But then because of that, because I kind of, I don't know if I say got used to it, but because I understood it, like you just said, like in the creative expression part, when it came to like artists like Young Dolph and Future early on, and they talking about like just crazy drugs and codeine and all this stuff, and no, I never did that stuff, but it's like I didn't mind it. I just always just kind of correlated with something else, like with my ground or something. I'm like,
Right.
but yeah, just I feel like there's like just a level of it could be a level of discomfort, or just level of like unknown when it comes to subject matters like that. But it's just cool that even now, like I'm trying to like kind of correlate that to now. Like we got artists like Saw Baby, Playboy Cardi, and
Yeah.
King Carson, and Lil Uzi. That was
Lord,
the thing with him.
Lord. Right.
On up. So it's like and then Trippie Red, they was talking about him and stuff. But it's just like you kind of gotta. Everybody's different, but it's I don't know. You can kind of not. I don't know if you can necessarily tell, but sometimes it just comes with the artist's creative expression. Yeah, and I'm glad I've gotten to the point too where I don't like hold that against them. I just kind of okay, well, yeah, maybe it'll be like part of their journey or whatever. But yeah, just yeah, as long as the music is cool and it's not like too crazy now. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a balance to me.
Yeah, I seen a guy. It wasn't his name is Jonathan something. But he was kind of talking about just symbolism and just in comparison to the church, and it's just like
Yeah.
regardless, like even if somebody is showing like a devil, it's not necessarily doesn't mean that it's separate from the separated from the church or from the religion. Like it's all imagery, and it's like it's kind of representing the end point of it, so it's like a lot of times that's what they're communicating. Or to me, a lot of times when I see like the real sinister type of like imagery, it's more
Yeah.
I look at it like revelations kind of in a way, or
Okay.
just like towards the ending of like because everything got to be represented in some form or fact, like so it's
Yeah.
like yeah, not everything is beautiful. It's like yeah, some things are ugly, especially in this world. Like when you want to get to the truth of something, but I think it's all
Yeah.
one and the same.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Plus, like yeah, I've always been very comfortable and know where my faith stands. So I was like, yeah, this stuff ain't gonna really, I got protection.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me think. Yeah, Tyler the Creator was his career. I think he's right now to me. He got the potential to go the furthest right now. Like just overall career. Um, I think Gambino came out the cut, still like
Yeah.
ready. Like, and these are more people who didn't necessarily have the major cosigns. Like, I think even like in Future's case, I think he might have
Mm.
been kind of Dungeon Family. Like, you know what I mean? I think
Yeah, but
that's a
people didn't
big.
really know until like
Yeah, I know
later.
people didn't know, but I think like just his backing and like his connection to Southern music is like
Yeah.
I think that's major just in terms of because it's like the audience that he would I don't think I wouldn't consider myself a core Southern music fan, but it's like those elements people who are already living in the South might have picked up on the same way I would have picked up on if like 50 Cent had a protege or something like that. So
Right. That makes sense.
yeah, 50 never had a protege, which then that because remember that's why people were saying he ended New York rap. It was like, yeah, he ain't
Yeah.
never pass it down.
We'll see. I feel like his protege came a lot later in Pop Smoke, like
Yeah, much
or
later.
yeah, and yeah, just unfortunately that kind of ended
But he
really
skipped
early.
the whole generation, so it's like, and he was
Yeah.
done rapping, so it's like that's more just like that's almost like a second coming instead of a protege. Like,
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that's why it was going to be really big though for New York. Like,
yeah,
it really was. Like, and that, yeah, that that kind of affects where we're at today too. With the early deaths and tragedies, like. Juice WRLD and Triple X and Pop Smoke and yeah, a lot of different artists like Young Dolph. Like it just yeah, the list goes on. But I think that kind of contributes to why people are falling back on the big three all the time, and why they got to keep doing what they do is because there has yet to be somebody that can, and not that they don't step up, but it's the consistency part.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest part of that equation with the consistency part and the longevity with the big three is it's the quality of their music, it's their fan base's understanding. They're gonna deliver for the most part, um, and then and then the time of absence in between projects. So we know Drake for the past like several few years or whatever, he's been dropping like every year, pretty much a
Mm-hmm.
project. And J. Cole, I gotta look his discography, but yeah, he'll drop like sporadically, but more frequently than Kendrick. And then of course Kendrick, until recently, he's dropped projects like he dropped GNX this year, and then 2 years ago, you know, what was it Miss Morale?
Mm-hmm.
But because of that, they always had no matter J Cole don't have to drop every year because Drake's going to drop every year. Kendrick going to drop every year. He got to drop at least every couple of years. Well, you don't have to do that in the past, but because J Cole can fill in the blank with that, and vice versa, like they fill in the blanks of quality of music for the core fan bases, but still keeping everything relevant, and they keep each other relevant that way.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to now, we don't have like an infrastructure like that. Like we'll have to see. Like Travis, he went through the Astro World stuff, so I feel like that kind of affected his relevancy and consistency. And then Tyler, honestly, Tyler is very consistent. He
Super.
drops literally every 2 years, and like and the quality is always there. He's doing nothing but building a fan base. But it's like when he doesn't drop, we may or may not get some other bigger artists like Travis to drop. But outside of that, I feel like that's the main thing because Lil Baby hasn't stepped up yet, quality wise. That's the biggest thing because I know he can stay relevant, but he has to have the music to do that right now. And
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, the whole gun thing and YSL situation kind of messed that up, but on his side. But yeah, it's like it's almost as if, yeah, the big three just always needed right now because we need their music or we need them to be relevant until somebody can until there's a new group because it has to be a group effort. Well, it has to be a group infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Otherwise, I mean, because Drake can't drop every year by himself without somebody else big dropping to kind of give us
Variety.
something, yeah, variety. So it's like somebody there has to be at least two or three big artists around the same time coming out to fill in the blanks. Yeah, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I know it's not gonna be exactly like what we see with J. Cole, Drake, and Kendrick, but yeah, it's just like those blanks aren't being filled, and I feel like that opportunity got taken away from us because of the early deaths and tragedies.
Mm-hmm. When I'm thinking about it now, when I think about the cosign of Jay Z cosigning J. Cole, or because I do feel like it was more crowned, and I think at that point, that's when it was like it was no longer a discussion between J. Cole and Wale, because I think after what J. Cole had the Jay Z feature on his album,
Hmm.
like I think that was kind of the bigger cosign, which made him, because to be honest, it was like, and I think that was like one of the things where I was like, people were almost looking at J. Cole as a New York rapper, which he was in New York when I think, like, when he was making the music, because he was going to college up there. But
Yeah,
I was like, I wasn't considering him a New York rapper, but I think a lot of people in the South, when you were trying to get them to understand hip hop or my flavor of hip hop. Because remember, I was that's what we was talking about the other night too, like different
Yeah.
styles of hip hop. I think that's when. But to me, I was like, I think at that point, I felt like Wale was a better rapper than J Cole. Um, but he was getting more of the cosign because people were it translated better with J Cole as opposed to Wale, and I felt like it was really when I was just look because I was on Hot New Hip Hop looking at the people debating at this point,
Yeah.
and I kind of really just felt like a lot of people didn't like um, Wale growing out his hair. I feel like that was one of the first big things in terms
Mm.
of his image. Like
Uh-huh.
he was growing out his hair kind of early. Like it wasn't, and I remember looking. I was like, I felt because also it was like at that time it's what your parents are telling you too. I'm getting the
Yeah.
low cut at this point or
Yeah.
the fade at this point too.
Uh-huh.
So you kind of thinking about, and I'm also when I'm listening to music, it was like I wasn't ever listening, but it was like I wanted to have music that I could play in my mom's car and it not be, or and be allowed instead of listening to the
Yeah.
radio. Cause at that
Right.
point, I think I was just fed up with the radio. I'm like, this they playing the same three songs, and I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
all the good songs is on the
Exactly.
albums and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's when I
Exactly.
started like but that's why Drake was so important because I was like, oh yeah, I know my mom would kind of like this, or it's
Uh-huh.
I could listen to a clean
Right.
version of it and still kind of get the same vibe. So it
Yeah.
kind of became safer music to play and safe in a lot of senses of the word because it's like, yeah, your mom. If your headphones did slip out and kept playing, if you listen to some Drake, it's not as bad as if you listening to Wayne on Pussy Monster or something like that. So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I think just him being more polished, and then I think J Cole fit that same mold, which is I think a big reason why Jay Z picked him. But they names being J Cole, Jay Z, it was just like you was already making those comparisons and stuff. So I feel like image
Yeah.
wise, that's a big point. That's the main time when J Cole surpassed Wale in terms of in imagery and in terms of like what we consider the culture right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of agree with some of that because with J. Cole, I mean, they always push. He always pushed the okay. He's college educated.
Yeah.
He's from the South. He's doing this like he's about his business or work. But I feel like that in that essence, and yeah, he's like the safe, a safe choice. Um, More marketable. I wouldn't say safe. I say more marketable.
Yeah.
And be more relatable to a wider range of audience. Um,
Business
Maybe that's
wise,
just
he's the better choice, and because especially at that time he had the clean cut. It was like we got to
Mhm.
remember light skin was in at that to like there was a time when like light skin was all the girls wanted someone light skin. It's like I feel like that
Yeah,
was just the
that's yeah,
time period and because of Chris Brown, Drake, like Trey
yeah.
Songs, all of that was like very, very important at that time.
Yeah, but then it's like, I mean, I don't know, because well, Kendrick did get those cosigns, and of course he's not like light or anything, but it just,
Yeah, nah,
uh, and I'm trying to go with the J Cole thing, like, it's not like I mean, I feel like he only had like a select few songs you could play, like just a select few songs, like maybe just the ones tailored towards the women, and that's probably like two or three, maybe three or four. But because I specifically remember when I went to go get the Born Center project, I got that and Yeezus on the same day from Best Buy, those two CDs, and it
hmm
was during summertime. It was in July, and I was in the South, visiting my grandma and stuff, and she took me there, and then I was yeah, we went back in the car and driving back home, and I was like, okay, I know I definitely can't play this Kanye right now. But let me pop in the Born Center first, and
Playing Yeezus with your grandma would have been crazy.
and you'd be surprised that I listened to I played, and I was surprised too because she listened to it with me. Like, I remember back in the day when Carter 3 was out, I got to, she would pick me up sometimes, just to go stay with her for a little bit. And she let me play it in the car while she was driving, and she
Yeah.
didn't even mind. And you know why she didn't mind, which is crazy? She didn't mind because, and this is like, I don't know if it's a generational thing or what, but she didn't mind because I think it was during his one of his award speeches. It was out of BT or something like that. He's talking about his education and stuff and degree and stuff that he got,
Mm-hmm.
and she didn't mind because she considered him, to be someone that's college educated. So then she could kind of give him a pass. So that does kind of go with the J Cole thing and all
Mm,
that. But as far as his music, like I'm trying to get to like the profanity part. J. Cole, he cusses a lot, so
he
you can't
does.
really outside of like the radio stuff, like even if you play a clean version, it's not gonna be the same as some Drake.
I hated clean versions
Yeah.
of songs, like with every fiber of me.
Yeah,
That was the biggest thing. Like I hated clean
to
versions. I
this
was
day,
like, bro.
yeah, exactly. And then but it's like I don't know, maybe Wale, I don't know who, just hypothetically speaking, who would have been realistically the person to give Wale a cosign? Like if you had to choose someone.
If I had to pick someone,
Yeah, that made sense. Yeah, who would he get a cosign by?
mm, I couldn't think of anybody who could co-sign because I think he's from the DMV. I don't know, like only people who I knew from the DMV was like really more R&B, like
Yeah,
Missy Elliott, Timberland, like
yeah,
that's who I think of when it comes to DMV. So I wouldn't have known who would have been able to who was big enough to even co-sign him at that point either. Like so I think there was
well,
a limited number of people who was able to even give out a cosign.
yeah, because he did have a feature with Pharrell, and Pharrell is from Virginia, though, but
Yeah.
that, yeah, I don't know if that's close related though with them, but and the styles, but yeah, yeah, I don't know, man, like just yeah. Sometimes that's just how it goes. It's almost like the NBA, like
Yeah. That's what I'm
with
saying. It
the
felt like a draft class at that point and like I feel like MMG low key the G League when you think about
yeah,
influence
yeah,
wise. Like but they
but
still they had a good run at that point.
they did. It didn't go. I don't think how any of them thought it'd go, but they did have a decent run. And yeah, just to get back to the NBA thing, I think I don't know. Like at the end of the day, it's a business. Like yeah, they're putting out media consumption products for our entertainment. With basketball, they do the same thing with music, but it's a business too. So with business comes metrics and statistics and marketing and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
what's going to yield the highest return or the best return? So they have to look at what's going to be marketable. So yeah, and then I don't think it's not like they didn't try with certain artists like Wale or anything, but I just feel like if the artists themselves and they 100% have the right to not agree with being boxed in or marketed this way if they feel like it's a detriment against their own art that they're putting out. If it doesn't make sense to them, then yeah, don't do it. And so he just stood by it. And yeah, like the NBA or these other big corporations, they don't like these big systems. They don't like stuff like that. So they, all right, well then, if they don't blackball you, they're gonna be like, okay, well we just not going to support you and put you on the pedestal like we are going to do these other guys. So
Right.
I think it's something similar to that
I kind of feel like
because his fans didn't go nowhere. So,
who Wale's.
well, yeah, his fans didn't go nowhere.
Yeah, but what you said about college educated made me think. I feel like, well, Drake, I guess he didn't go to college, but I mean, Drake was pretty, I would say, highly educated just in terms of like being in the business already from an early
Yeah,
age, I think.
yeah,
But
life experience.
I
That's
would say Meek might have been one of the first people who was like wasn't college educated from that class to kind of come in and be kind of big. I would say because when you think Wayne went to college, Cole went to college, Wale went to college. Actually, I don't think Kendrick. I don't know if I don't think Kendrick went to college,
I
to
don't
my
think he did either.
knowledge.
Yeah,
But it was still like information, um, or knowledge based. I would say knowledge based
yeah,
music kind of fell
yeah,
off after that point, and then when Chief Keef, like that's when young, like you could be really young and get in. So it's like, well, I mean, actually no, Soldier Boy, since he was so big early, that was kind of like the precursor for people because a lot of people who were young and then didn't go to college, that's like what made it a an out for that
yes, yeah. Just like with the NBA thing, yeah, just like going straight from high school
to
to
the
the league.
NBA. Hmm.
We had Chris Browns and Soldier Boys and Lil Wayne's. Outside of the education, like yeah,
Hang on 1 second, bro. I got one of my
okay,
speakers is doing something. Yeah, I'm back. I'm back. Yeah, and I think the education of the rappers has fallen off because now everybody just want to be rich before they even get to
yeah,
before they get any type of deal. And I think that's completely backwards now. Like I do feel like J. Cole had a that's why I always, think that I think his career was successful because he is college educated. He's actually I think one of the only people who actually graduated. But I think he attacked his career in a much more strategic way than other people. So
oh yeah, for sure. That's also the difference too. Yeah, that goes along with everything.
like today, like I was seeing about like when Chief Keef first came on to the it was like he really was one of the first people who you didn't really have to be rapping about anything. Like it wasn't necessarily a rap style that people gravitated to. It was more about the like that was when the things I think kind of got a little violent in terms of
Uh,
music. Like
yeah, definitely around that time in that scene. Yeah, that almost accelerated everything as far as that type of content and music.
started of
So,
that type of
yeah,
drill, and then that
mm,
led to 10. That was like 10 years of just straight violence from Chicago. Well, I mean,
yeah.
I wouldn't even say it lasted 10 years, but like
It was a lot. It was like a generation's worth. Um, well,
a solid 3 to 5 years of like very drill based music, and then that started to get down to Atlanta. I think a little bit later, like towards the end of. I'm trying to think. Well, okay, we got to think about Gucci too. Gucci, I feel like Gucci was he was like self-made in the sense cuz okay, like Rocco kind of put I remember I said Dungeon fan. I think Rocco put Future on a little bit more in terms of the cosign even though he isn't as big
yeah,
nationally. I think just in
yeah,
Atlanta it didn't necessarily matter like that was his more the bigger cosign. But
yeah. On the street side, yeah,
yeah. And then we also had you gotta remember I remember DJ Khaled was big for me knowing certain music early. Like he was connecting a lot of different regions with his remixes and stuff. You had Akon on the songs. Remember we was talking about T Pain earlier.
uh-huh.
So um that was where T and that's really where Rick Ross came from. So it was like Wale
Yeah,
signing to Wale signing to Rick Ross was like two pegs, like two
yeah,
tiers down almost. But
yeah. It
it's
was. Yeah, that
interesting.
is pretty. Man.
So yeah, I think signing with MMG was. It seemed like it was logical at the time, but at the end of the day, it was like it's not. It
Yeah,
wasn't
because
too.
they had Meek Mill, Wale, Omarion. Um, those are the ones I remember, but it was just a weird group to begin with anyway. Like
It
from what I
was
saw,
thrown all together.
it was
It was all thrown because I remember also King Los was one of my favorite artists at that point too,
oh
and
yeah,
I think it came down between him and Big Sean going to Good Music around that time.
uh,
So I think Big Sean beat him out for that spot at Good Music. Um,
yeah. I forgot about King Los. Yeah, dang.
yeah, he had the potential to be great. I mean, he still drives good music to me, but yeah, it's like never made it anything big. Um, and then I think that's I feel like that's the big reason why so many people want to be independent now because it's just like there's no cosigns left really. I don't know what other person can get
I don't know. I think
cosigns.
there's just different ways of getting cosigns. Like you don't necessarily need like a dedicated cosign, but if you get like I don't know, it could even be if you go the independent route and you just doing your thing, releasing stuff, and it catches fire, and somebody big enough sees it and they repost it or they like it or they whatever, or it can yeah, yeah, collaboration. Like, but yeah, I don't think it's needed as much, but I also feel like it doesn't hurt if it doesn't go away. Like if it's still an occasional thing, because I mean we got technology and social media to kind of fire start a lot of these viral moments, but again, it's depending on the artist and their strategy, and if they want to really take it to that next level. Like some artists, some I don't always say art, like just some people, if they have a viral song or something, like that doesn't guarantee them having a long, viral, successful career or fan base.
Mm,
Um, some people don't even want that. Like you said, some people just they want to make a hit song and get the money, or tour off of that one hit, or just yeah. I think it just really depends on what type of cloth you cut from and
mm.
how far you take it.
Yeah, I think there's too many options for there to be like for any cosign to really matter because everybody got their own. That was one thing I meant to bring. I don't even think we really got into the streaming era with our with our conversation because it was like once streaming came up because that was something I used to say. Drake was well, we was talking about the safety option. It's like okay, if you had a limited number of space on your phone, it's like Drake could go on there because it would satisfy so many different genres. Like, okay, you got some, some rap, some bars, you got some melodies on here, you got something for girls. This like so I think it just checks so many boxes that it was like must have music on but but then it's also like if you say you only liked one, say you were like someone who was really heavy in the bars, it's like Drake wasn't the best at bars, so it's like if you really wanted someone with bars, then you would pick them over Drake because that was the part that you resonated with the most.
Yeah,
So
consistent bars. Yeah,
right, but then coming out with streaming, it's like now you don't have to pick. It's like okay, you can just listen to this when you want to, listen to that when you want to, and so it's less restrictive, which I think just kind of killed. Now you don't necessarily have to have your favorite artist, or it's like for me, I could still listen to Ab Soul, but it don't stop me from listening to Drake, and that's really the thing when it comes to the beefs. Now it's like, what are we talking about? Like it's not like you can't listen to. It's not like they're fighting for space on your iPod or something. Like they're really just fighting for time, and it's like that's why I never. I mean, the beef itself doesn't necessarily make sense to me because it's like the times when you play Kendrick are completely different than the times you play Drake, and it's like
that's so true. Yeah, that's
so it's
true.
just like they really were never even in competition for on my iPod at any given time. It
Yeah,
wasn't like, oh, do I get this Drake album or do I get this Kendrick album? It's like, no, you get both and then listen to them at the appropriate times.
yeah, yeah. Because that kind of that would kind of go into the GNX talk, or really just Kendrick as a whole, being at the top, quote unquote, right now, being the top rapper right now, and holding that position. We gotta see where he goes because I mean it. Yeah, he with his albums, is the quality is very high quality and is like great content in it. But then there's only like I have to be in a certain mood or doing a certain thing, really just be in a certain mood to want to listen to some of his projects or most of his projects, because sometimes he does have a few dated projects, maybe just a couple, like I was saying with overly dedicated. It's a mixtape, but it sounds dated. If I was judging it based on the other projects around that time, it's the most dated sounding one. And then what is it? So a Good Kid, Mad City, I can listen to like pretty much any time. But it's like, dude, am I in the mood to listen to this in particular right now? But when it comes to Drake, I mean, I can listen to
Safe
it
music.
anytime. Yeah,
Anytime, any place you can play some Drake.
yeah, like anytime. So it's like, if Kendrick is gonna really hold his top position, is he capable of doing something like that with like Drake? As far as like putting
Always.
out high replay value music, like that you would want, like GNX is it's holding a lot longer than some of his other projects for me. Um, like yeah, I've kind of fell off of it for the past like 2 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But I've listened. I heard it out last night, and I listened to it a little bit, and I was like, okay, yeah, it still does it. But now, as it gets to that point, for me, it's starting to feel dated.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I just end up putting on some Drake.
That's why I'm like, yeah, it's definitely like I knew at the beginning people were gonna listen to it, but with it sounding the way it sounds, of course it's gonna get dated. Like I really haven't listened to that album since like the second week it dropped. Honestly, and it's not because it's just like a lot of times I really don't have time to listen to Kendrick like
Yeah,
in the way that I want, in the way that you're supposed to enjoy that
exactly.
music. Like Drake, I can listen to in the background. Like
Hmm.
I can still appreciate the musical aspects of it without it being like without like we was talking about watching YouTube videos. Like we
Yeah,
kind of want something that doesn't force our brain to think. Like we listening to music to kind of chill, not to not to break
yeah,
down bars or to think about. So it's
exactly.
like, and that's something I used to never understand because I was like, okay, if this person is making you think about the music, then I was like, to me that made them better. That's how I
Right.
used to grade music. But that's why Absol would be at my top. I'm like, if you talking about someone who making you think, it's like, yo, this is
Right.
making you research some stuff. Like
Yeah.
you don't understand it until you go research. It's like, hold on, what is he talking about here? Like you had to like
Uh-huh.
literally do homework in order to understand the
Yeah.
music. So that used to always be the how I would grade
Mhm.
the music. It's like, okay, it's a bar that I had to go really know some information about prior to, or he's putting me on some new information that now I gotta go look up and then relate it back to how and why he was talking about this in the song.
That makes sense, and I think the thing I'm realizing with Kendrick, even though I've been listening for years, I don't know why I'm just not realizing it, or maybe I always knew it, but I'm just not realizing like, and I'm comparing Drake, J Cole, and Kendrick right now, um, and this is like as far as like separate critiques, like I was talking about with you earlier with J Cole. There was a time where he didn't really resonate with a lot of people, and that it was really cool to hate on him
Right.
and call his music boring,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a critique, and he addressed it by getting on a lot of features and changing up his cadence to be more aggressive and um, kind of get rid of the slow drowsy production and opening up more with that. So he fixed it to me,
Mm-hmm.
and it's made him better. And then with Drake, I mean, he makes perfect music, so his voice can go over any production style just about.
Right.
Um, Now with Kendrick, I'm saying all that to say with Kendrick, I feel like part of the reason why his music sounds dated, or it gets dated to a point, and it gets to a point where you have to be like, no, I'm just not in the mood to listen to this, is because with Kendrick, he knows how to like he has great production stuff, but he also knows how to change up his voice and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I still don't think that's enough. Like it's almost like the fact that he has to change up his voice all the time, and he can't change his voice, but it's like the fact that he has to switch up his voice all the time,
Keep it
and not
interesting.
even cadence, but like just kind of switch up the thing, or like it's something he can't do it to a certain level like other artists can do it, and so it boxes it in, because and that in itself to me becomes boring, or not even boring, just repetitive. It's like it's a little too repetitive,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that's the only way I can articulate that right now is because yeah I can. And sometimes it is a voice thing too. It's not like I don't like his rapping voice, but it's just like he kind of boxes himself in sometimes, like what he be doing, or be doing too much. Whereas the Drake, he can do the stuff over dance beats. Like
Yeah. Do you think who you think got the better version of Hey Now, Kendrick or Tyler?
I haven't
You ain't
watched the
listen to
video.
Tyler's?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I
I
haven't
like
watched.
I like Tyler's version better. I ain't gonna lie, but it's
Okay,
like
why's that?
it's just more. I mean, the thing is, like, when it comes to remixes, I don't like to like judge, but I don't like to compare them directly just because it's like, okay, one person had the original idea, and it's like, okay, yeah, you were able to kind of come up with it on your own. But I think, yeah, the way he flowed on it was a little bit more unique, but
Okay,
it was still very West Coast. But it was like West Coast to the point where it sounds a little bit more modern. Like
mm,
I think when it comes to TDE now, I look at them as kind of old, not in a bad, like they're older. You get what I'm saying? So it's
yeah,
not necessarily like it's like when Killer Mike drops. They're not that old, but it's like when Killer Mike drops Atlanta music. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, this is Atlanta music, but it's not what they playing
yeah, like
right
current,
now in the
like
club.
yeah, like
And so
yeah,
that, and I feel like that's where like with Absol, I'm like, I know you trying to like appeal more to the, but it's like you're not getting the, like that's what Kendrick did though. Like, he got the AZ Chikes, and he doing the Remble dance, but it's just like, yeah, those are the people who you need to be collabing with if you trying to be relevant to the new school for real.
right,
Like, and I
yeah,
think that they ain't do. And I mean, maybe on a West Coast side, they might be the people who are like maybe a little bit more on the come up underground wise, but
yeah,
to people outside of California, we have no clue who they are or their buzz. What, to me, that's kind of them trying to help highlight it, and
yeah, yeah. I get that too. Yeah, and I don't know. It's crazy because, and that's why the comparison thing has got to stop. Like with Kendrick, they don't. They're saying, "Oh, it's great. He's finally collaborating with newer, unknown artists, or just younger, like whatever, like different artists." And he's doing it to put them on, but also it keeps him relevant too,
yeah,
to newer ears and newer crowds and stuff in that same space. As a like, in comparison to Drake, like when he has Tizo Touchdown or Yeet or somebody on his album, yeah, they're bigger and they're up and coming. I mean, they're still really big and stuff like and they're younger and they're more relevant. But I mean, why is that a bad thing? Like, it's almost as if like because he was at the top, it's just you can't please everybody. So, like I said, like J Cole had his time where it was cool to hate him. Now, I mean, it's kind of dying down now, but it's still, right now it's cool to hate on Drake, and yeah, there's gonna be a time where it's cool to hate Kendrick's music, and I think he's low key getting exposed. If he drops a new, if he drops another album, like the next few months, we'll see. But I think he's kind of getting exposed with the thing I was talking about earlier, boxing himself in,
Mm.
and like kind of putting out dated music or music that people don't necessarily want to listen to all the time, anytime. And it's crazy because GNX to me when it first came out, I felt like, and I still kind of do feel like I can listen to it anytime, but it's like I don't want to listen to it anytime. I gotta listen to it like when I'm not listening to something else.
Yeah, nah, that's like only from this year that dropped. Saheem like the only one I'm like I could play that anytime and just be like
Yeah.
it do what it needed to do. But that's one where it's like you can listen to it
Mhm.
on different levels. Like you can listen to what he's saying, you like, oh, this man's spitting bars for real. Like
Yeah.
it sounded crazy, but like if you're not even like tuned into it, you still just like beat
Yeah. Still,
selection, all of it flow. Like I just seen a tweet said that his album streams went up by 300% across all platforms from
wow.
last week, and it's cause it's I know why because Viking is going so viral, and
Yeah.
right after that you hear that roll with me, and it's like you stuck into it till the end, and then you start
Get
right
like
from the top. Like he made that album so smooth. Like I don't know a smoother album that came out
yeah, it's dope that
this year.
that he's getting his recognition now. So.
Yeah, cause it's crazy. He went dumb on that album. I'm like,
Yeah.
but to me, he's like I hear I want to say intelligence in his like not saying anybody else is dumb,
Yeah.
but it's like I still hear even though he's not talking about it's I don't know what it is about it because it's like yeah you do have to sit down and really think about what he's saying because he's saying some crazy. It's similar to Thug, but it's like you're saying wild stuff and it sounds like really good. Like it don't even like sometimes with Thug, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to say. Thug is he's an interesting character, but
Mhm.
it's like same with Side Baby. I feel like with Thug being co-signed by Gucci, it's like you could kind of he kind of added some intelligence to Gucci type music, I would say. And just like his style, it was a little bit more focused than Gucci. Like Gucci was just like people like the rawness of it and like
Mhm.
um just the grittiness of it for real. But
Yeah.
like it wasn't necessarily super art or he wasn't necessarily putting too much into the it was just like this is how it is, take it or leave it. And then
Right.
Thug was like refined it a little bit more, like so it's like he made the grittiness a little bit more artistic and easier to consume with the melodies and stuff and then
Yeah.
but yeah, we done got this is where the conversation was started from
Yeah.
J. Cole and Wale
Yeah.
okay too. But I mean I do think it was important to really kind of go over that whole history like and just really see how the consumption of music has changed where we're at now what
Yeah. It
that
kind
kind
of
of
revealed
allows
itself.
us
Like kind of. Yeah. So that's I feel like that's why we didn't have to go into that because it just made sense as we were like you know um kind of dissecting it. Yeah.
yeah because this whole this whole music game is crazy we can't even get into the because ultimately like just to bring back one thing from Wale because I think that over the years like I used to always say I think Wale would smoke J. Cole in verses like in terms of just like we going song for song like in terms of that in the type in the venues that we're talking about like
Okay.
maybe not in the hip hop verses like if we going bar for bar
Yeah.
maybe not song wise, but I mean, I don't think it's necessarily like a blowout for. But I think Wale is more known for his songs as opposed to um, his bars per se at this point.
I don't know. I feel like versus that in particular is just a popularity contest to me. So I feel like he would lose just because it's a popularity contest.
But I think then that come down to audience. I think if it's talking about the verses like during the pandemic, where they was
Mm.
like who was it? Like when it was Mario versus Omarion. I think if in
Um,
like a verses like that, if we doing, I think I think Wale got some more deep like familiar songs because it's like I think J Cole got songs that are good for his fan base. Like, but if we're talking about like cultural impact songs, I would think Wale would win. That's my personal
We're talking
opinion.
about like no hands.
Yeah, No Hands would be. It's like there's songs that I don't feel like J Cole would have responses to in terms of like energy and stuff like that. Like Lotus Flower Bomb. Like J Cole got the Power Trip. Like
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, he got some songs. He got Planes. He got what's I mean
yeah,
Lights Please.
yeah. Again, and that's why I just think they don't even need to be compared to at all. Like they just because Wale is more. I feel like he's on the more R&B side as far as production and influence. Even though he's a rapper, like J Cole doesn't really have R&B cuts like that outside of the Planes feature and Power Trip.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. Nah, I don't think they would ever go up against. But
I think it would have to be Wale versus Big Sean. Yeah.
yeah, that would be a more entertaining one. I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, because they would both be being graded by different scales. But actually, okay, then who? Big Sean versus J Cole. Who do you think?
Like,
Because Big Sean got a lot of hits. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
let me pull up. Let me pull up their hits right now. Let's see. And then the Big Sean.
because Big Sean on some big songs too. He on Mercy. He got some songs with Jay Z too. Well, that song I think, or what's the song he's on with Big with
I feel like I feel like Big Sean has more would have more hits to play.
They did
Um,
10 or 20 songs. They was doing 20 songs, right?
I
Or
don't
was
know.
it
I think it's like 15. I can't remember.
15 apiece? I don't
Yeah, I really can't remember how many songs. Oh man, we didn't even talk about OG Mako.
remember. Oh yeah, R.I.P. R.I.P.
R&B.
That was like I have been feeling that because at Georgia State, like he would be on campus
Yep.
for real. Like I used to think I thought his the bitch you guessed it video was filmed at 112 when it first came out.
Oh, really?
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Man,
'cause I was like, man, but that scene, that was a different time. Like,
that was literally, and that's why the other day I was talking about Migos being in Hip Hop Hall of Fame because that whole scene in Time or whatever, witnessing that live, that felt like that I wasn't there when they created hip hop in the Bronx and stuff, but that felt like what it would feel like to witness hip hop being created or evolved in real time.
oh
And I
yeah,
recognized that too. And I was like, see, I'm like, man, this is like some real impact, and it's right here. Like,
hmm
it's so yeah,
now when I tell you in the future, they are gonna be talking about Atlanta's impact on just the music scene in general.
yeah.
Crazy, crazy. Like I'm talking about even just from because that was underground stuff too. Like that wasn't even
Yeah.
mainstream, so it was just like that was stuff we was we seeing these people on the street on a daily basis for real. Like it's no these people ain't even famous to us, but
Yeah.
outside of there, it's like, oh yeah, nah. I was listening to that song all the time. Those little like little 5 Points area, the part over by Peter Street area, like all of that stuff is like
Yeah.
oozing with culture, like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of a kind.
All them spots, the lounges. It was a time downtown, and like we was downtown. Like that's why Georgia State was so lit. It was like
Yeah, bro. Like we got literally like the city was our campus. Like it's
the
cool.
city, man. You could walk to, you could
Uh,
walk the Tabernacle, bro. Like
exactly. Yeah. Many a times too. With Kendrick, Jenkins, Isaiah Rashad. Like yeah.
they had the whole. It was a melting pot of culture just all around.
hmm Yeah, that's where I saw J. Cole at the Dollar Dream concert.
Tabernacle, yeah. I
Yeah, I
seen
can't
Kid
believe I
Cudi
saw
there
him.
a couple times.
Man, that's what my favorite. That's probably my favorite venue
Tabernacle.
concert. Yeah,
I
saw
think of
Flying Lotus there too. That was fire.
yeah. No, I don't think. Actually, at that point though,
I think I seen Isaiah Rashad was center stage. I think,
yeah,
but
that was.
yeah,
I seen him there. I seen the internet at center stage too. Center stage
yeah, I
was
remember
lit.
that. That was so fire. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw them and the Highest Coyote at center stage too.
Ooh, wish I seen them. That's hard.
That was at the beginning when they was like just now being recognized in the U.S. and stuff too. That was I'll never forget that.
I seen Tory Lanez at center stage,
Mm.
but I got in late to the first time I seen him at Aisles 5 in little
Oh,
five
okay.
points. So that was like there was 10 of us in there.
Man.
That was for I want to say I think it was maybe around the time he dropped Lost Cause. He wasn't touring for it, but
Okay.
it was like he was touring for his earlier projects. But yeah, there was
Mm.
nobody in there. Then the following year, I think he
Uh,
came back was lit, man. I was like, yo, that was
man.
something to
I remember
see.
some of those stats and stuff like, man, that looks crazy.
Oh man, bro, he was crowd
Energy.
surfing.
Oh,
Crowd passed him a blunt and it lit the. I was like, "What's going on right now?" I'm looking like I'm walking into this because it's at the very end. I forgot why I was so late. But I wasn't even pressed because I was like, I've seen him before. But yeah, I got
man.
in. It's like some of the last songs he's performing, and he's doing the crowd
Wow.
surfing this. So I'm like, so it's coming from last time there was 10 people to now it's like
That's
packed
crazy.
out and all of
This
this.
is
So I was like,
the growth,
dang,
yeah.
I done seen that for real. So
And I remember, I think it was like a Red Bull sponsored concert event. And remember, because I was in lounge for Jenkins or something, but I had got my ticket late, or I was trying to see if I could get it, but it was like limited capacity, and
okay,
I think he was able to get in, but he came outside and just like dapped everybody that wasn't able to get in. Like,
yeah.
man, this
I,
dude cool as
I
hell, man.
remember
Just,
what you talking
like he
about.
did that.
That was at the loft, right?
It was not. It was somewhere in Little 5 Points,
Or
I
the
think.
mask? Or wait, you said for Mick? Oh, I do remember. Oh, yeah, we was trying to go out of aisles 5. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
that was
yeah.
outside of aisles
So,
5. Yeah,
yeah.
I remember what you
Yeah,
talking
that was
about now.
just. I was like, man, that was real. And then the next year, that's when we was able to, or I was able to see him. I forgot what venue it was. It might have been Center Stage,
I
and
think it was the upstairs though, the loft.
Law at
The
Center
loft at
Stage.
center stage. I
Yeah,
seen him at the old Masquerade first
mm,
time.
man.
Yeah, I went with a girl. She had won tickets on Hot New Hip Hop.
Oh, that's crazy. Dang.
Yeah. We had both entered in the contest, but they had selected her, and then she took me.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that was
Okay, that was dope.
and then I got to meet him afterwards too. So it was like
Oh yeah, I think
that
you
was
told me
dope.
that. That's dope.
Yeah, shout out Mick Jenkins, man. We need another project from you.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about him either. We gotta do that next time. Yeah, because yeah, some great mixtapes. The Waters. You put me on to yeah. With the
Man, the
water.
water. That was the second wave of mixtapes coming out. That
Yeah,
album, I was
I think
like,
that's
what is this?
yeah.
Man, that album was, or that mixtape was so good.
I
And even
still listen to the Hilla component a lot. Like that's in my whole
that
main.
was really great too. That
Yeah,
was, yeah. We need a whole pod about Mick Jenkins' impact
yeah.
on things.
It's Chicago in general, man, because no name don't be getting no love like that in the
Yeah,
South.
Chicago at that point, that was really another whole. They was having a renaissance up there. That was Chance the
Yeah,
Rapper was coming up at that time. Vic Mensa,
yeah.
uh,
Yeah, Saab was dope. Great.
Saba, yep. But that was like that was the thing. That was the duality of Chicago at that point. Like, cause you
Yeah,
had them coming up right next to Chief Keef, Lil
but
Durk.
see, that's also even though Wallace from the DMV, I feel like he would fit the mold for a Chicago artist. Like if I had a checklist of what they would have,
Yeah,
the artistry and stuff, like he would fare well if he came from Chicago. Um, yeah, that's kind
yeah.
of part of my head, but
And being a pioneer of the DMV, which DMV now is kind of heavy, but even now I don't think his music still fits in because it's either like
yeah,
super R&B or it's super trapped out, like
that makes
Skrilla.
sense.
That guy, Skrilla's hard, but like yeah, that's super trapped out. Or like what Q the Fool, stuff like then you got Junie, Brent Fayez, all of that. So DMV guy is real interesting with their music right now. But I'm a real fan of that sound. Like Brent, man, Brent's music. It's like him being independent. I feel like he's been able to do so much really with that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially if he's independent. Yeah, he's killing it then.
Dang, you know what else we ain't get to do? We ain't do anything with that.
Oh yeah,
We were
yeah.
supposed to have the album
Yeah.
album list. Nah, that's how it go though.
Yeah,
It ain't no big deal.
that's cool. But
Um,
I'm getting kind of tired now.
yeah, nah, we done. This is the second. Like we did, we really did 6 hours of this content from the other
Yeah.
day. So we just recorded this. So
I'm about to say even like the last one when we was on the phone, we probably need to record sometimes just do like audio only sometimes if we get the phone call.
yeah,
So,
yeah, we could do that. That would be cool.
yeah.
So shoot, man. All right, yeah, it is getting on. It's almost 7 o'clock. But nah, this was a good one.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, even just to like talk it through and understand why these artists are where they are. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yes, I'm gonna think of a description that's gonna sum up this, cause yeah, I think a lot of people need to go back down this list of where we're at music wise, and what streaming has done, um, ultimately
Yeah,
to where we are. Them cosigns too. I think that was a big eureka moment that I had
yeah.
personally. I'm like, oh snap! Everyone did have a really major cosign. So, uh, all right, bro. I'm gonna let you go. Appreciate you stopping by, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, you know what I mean. If you seeing this later, hold on. Oh, people was actually my bad. I ain't even see. Sorry if you was watching on Twitch and I ain't hit you up. Okay,
Oh, it's
so
commented in the chat.
let's see, little people. They must have been tuned in for a little bit good. It said their songs both have to hear. He's an artist from Can. Oh, this might be somebody promoting something. It's all good. It was good. It wasn't. We'll just interact with them later. But all right, man. Appreciate you. Everybody like, comment, and subscribe if you're still here. And join us next time for our next discussion. It's sure to be insightful and you know, thought provoking, which I think this was.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right, y'all.